is a collection of stooges talking about happenings in the sports world. It is meant to be comedic informative. The opinions expressed on this show do not necessarily reflect the beliefs of their peers, their boss, or ESPN. There may be some cuss words because that's how humans in the real world talk. If you are young, please seek permission before watching any further.
Hey,
Why?
let's go.
This show stinks, and the fact that you listen, we are very, very thankful for.
McAfee on the line with a gorgeous assist.
The all-time leading tackler for the Green Bay Packers.
You pink.
Damn it! Be a friend, tell a friend something nice could change their life.
Welcome to the Pat McAfee Show. Feel good. Friday, October 24th. I'm AJ Hawk sitting in for Pat at his desk. He'll be joining us from Nashville, boys. Big game tomorrow. Football is the name of the game. It's what we do around here. It's our number one thing. Last night we had a big game. We had Vikings, Chargers. Boys, Chargers absolutely dominated. I feel like, obviously, early on in the game, Justin Herbert throws what we thought was a pick six. They review it. It's not a pick six. They go on, a 16-play drive, I believe, go on there, and they capitalize. They score a touchdown, go up 7-0. It looks like, to me, the Chargers never really looked back after that. I felt like the Chargers D-line was getting unbelievable pressure on Carson Wentz all night long. They ran for over 200 yards, the Chargers did. It was just, it was somewhat of a dominant performance, I feel like, from this Chargers football team, just what they needed after losing 3 of their last 4 games. Carmen, what'd you see when you watched this game? Honestly, what stood out the most, I guess, when you actually think about it?
I mean, right there on that touchdown run by Vidal, they're running left. Joe Alt being back was kind of the biggest thing, it felt like, and it kind of solidifies the importance of how important the left tackle is just to both the quarterback and the running game. And, yeah, right there, they're 4-0 when Joe Alt starts, and he's just one of those big sons of bitches that kind of sets the tone up front for those boys. And, you know, they could do whatever they wanted because Herbert had time, and it was just a fantastic performance start to finish for the offense.
Yeah, Carson Wentz, he was under pressure all night long. I don't know. I know you guys watched it and you saw, but it seemed like Carson Wentz, 1, 2, 3, he's hitting his third step, and he's eluding pressure all over. We saw some Carson Wentz moments where this guy, he's never going to let a play die. That's what I love about Carson. It's always all out in front of him. He's always able to, he thinks, at least in his mind, he's going to figure out a way to get this thing and to get some positive yardage, which I love and respect. It was, like I said, dominant performance.
Yep.
I was so impressed by the Chargers defense, to be honest with you, right, Tone?
Yeah, it looked like their early season defense where the first couple weeks where they were dominant and they started 3-0. I mean, what I learned last night is if you wear stupid, dumb, all yellow uniforms and you play a good team like the Colts, you're going to get dominated. And then if you decide to wear one of your coolest throwback uniforms possible and then another team comes in, you're going to dominate them. And I think the whole NFL should take that in consideration when they're choosing uniforms.
Ty, were you surprised by this, Ty? What happened last night?
I mean, maybe a little bit for the final score, but I told Connor when I first got in here today, like last night was the first time I actually felt bad for Carson Wentz. You know, he just, like you said, under duress all night, so banged up. Like now, it's kind of rubber meets the road for the Vikings now. Like we get it. JJ McCarthy's been hurt with the ankle. Has he been hurt? They got to see what they have.
Pretty athletic move he made on the sideline.
Without a doubt.
Avoiding complete disaster, I feel like, at one point in the game. JJ McCarthy, if you watch him here, jumps over top. You think he's going to get rolled up on? Here we go. A lot of juice. He's ready. Yeah. You think that guy's got an ankle injury, Ty?
I mean, it certainly doesn't look like it, but, we need to see him on the field because I think they know exactly what they can get out of Carson Wentz, and the season could kind of get away from him pretty quickly here if something doesn't change.
Yeah, it does feel like we're going to see J.J. McCarthy out there very soon with the Vikings under center, and I think Pat's already actually down in Nashville. Pat, what's going on, man? Your setting looked amazing when we touched with you earlier. What's up, buddy?
Yeah, down here at First Bank Stadium in beautiful Nashville, Tennessee. They just opened this place in August. $130 million was spent on this stadium. They just opened in August. Hold on, though. I'm not done, though, okay? You would think that would be a lot of money, especially in 2025, having a brand-new stadium. Remember, in years past, we've kind of mocked and ridiculed. They had cranes, and, they didn't even have locker rooms. Remember, they were going through their construction. They finally land here at the First Bank Stadium. $130 million they put into this. That's not it, though. Right behind me here, I believe you see the Huber Center. I got the J.J. Watt situation going on. That's the Huber Center right there. That's for the basketball team. $90 million they spent on the Huber basketball thing. We're not done, though. You know, the baseball team, obviously highly regarded, Vandy boys, $42 million they're putting into a new baseball stadium. And then outdoor tennis only, $14 million in a new facility. And then indoor tennis, they're putting $7 million into. So whenever you talk about a school going all in on sports, it feels like this Vandy team's doing that. Now, obviously, Coach Lee and Diego Pavia are putting it on a national stage with the entire run in the college football world. And obviously, lucky to be here and celebrate this as Mizzou comes to town. But I think Chancellor Deermeyer, okay, and Candace Story-Lee, athletic director here at Vandy, are all in on the sports, and I think it's a special thing. You know, when you're good at sports, I think it radiates about your culture, about what you are. We're competitive. We like to have a good time. We like to be community-driven, and also we want to beat the hell out of other people whenever it comes to on-field competition in sports. So, yeah, I'm lucky to be down here in Vandy. I certainly am. Yesterday was a once-in-a-lifetime actual day that I got to experience down here in Nashville. Crazy that it fell on the day where the No Betting Allowed Association had their biggest day. But I thought you guys did an incredible job, okay? And I appreciate you guys doing that. And to all the people that I was with yesterday that everybody will learn about going forward, I don't want to drop all their names right now because it'll kind of give away everything we got going on. Thank you so much for taking time out of your lives and energy and commitment towards yesterday for me. That was one of the coolest things I've ever done. Yesterday was awesome. I was in the middle of a movie and a TV show for about 9 hours, and with some of the most talented people on earth, and it was really cool. It's a Nashville difference. I had no idea that Nashville could be the football town that it is right now for Vandy, and lucky to be here. Now, on that note, Carson Wentz, quarterback for this Minnesota Vikings team. You talk about J.J. McCarthy doing that move. It wasn't just the, what's that called? Shed? What do you guys call that, AJ?
You're playing off a cut block. When you're playing off a cut block.
Yeah, what's that move called there? Is that called a move or what's that called?
Yeah, I don't know. Play off the cut is all I know.
Strike.
Play off the cut. Yeah, it's literally a drill though. People roll balls and you like kind of, you sprawl. This is a sprawling technique where you're shooting up. There's a sprawl that kind of comes with that. That's a very explosive move. Okay, and there's obviously a lot of movement that takes place not only with the ankles but the knees, everything else like that. And then the walk off afterwards, a little bit of sauce with that one. As he's walking forward, it's like, okay, looks like JJ's at least close to being all the way back. Obviously, emergency quarterback last night, so if they needed him, they'd have him. A lot of season left is what they were probably thinking. But you got JJ McCarthy there, probably coming back. You got Carson Wentz, given some Carson Wentz experience. But to your point, Ty, I was following along. A lot of people were like, enough's enough for this man.
Yeah.
Please, can we take him off? This guy's giving his all out there. I like that there was a babyface turn for Carson Wentz seemingly last night in the midst of this massive defeat against a Chargers team that might be who we thought they were just a few weeks ago, especially with Joe Alt playing. But you think about Danny Dimes, what he's doing with the Colts. We're lucky as hell. We want to make him our governor. We want to make Danny Dimes our governor. He was in their building. Now, allegedly, they offered more money than Colts did, but still, they let him out of the building. Sam Darnold, okay, you got him doing what he's doing. And remember, Aaron Rodgers was allegedly interested in being the Minnesota Vikings quarterback. 1 year ago, last year, the Minnesota Vikings team, they were fighting for the number one seed in the NFC. Last game of the year, it's like, holy hell, this team is there. And then now we're watching them. Obviously, injuries happen, and it's like they're just getting their shit pumped by the Los Angeles Chargers on primetime. It's like, this is not what I think about the Kevin O'Connell Vikings team. And there's been a lot of really good players that have kind of exited, or people that wanted to be there that are playing pretty good football elsewhere. So they're going to have to live in their world and their decision-making. And on that note, the Chargers' decision-making on those jerseys, Tone, to your point, those things look filthy. Yeah. I mean, I thought about LaDainian Tomlinson back in the day doing his thing and just electrifying and lighting everything up. I know that the Chargers felt like they had to perform in those jerseys. But once again, Justin Herbert, Jim Harbaugh, Minter, right, is the defensive coordinator that we're singing his praises. It's like everything we learned about them whenever we went out to their facility, they're all rowing in the same direction. And I think they ran into a very good Colts team last week. Obviously, they have, not a perfect schedule or a perfect resume, but it's like this Chargers team still has everything you could possibly need to go on a deep run, I think. Tone, what was the betting numbers last night? I know we were probably all on the Chargers if I had to guess the way our show had to operate, even though I didn't listen at the end. But what was the public on? What was the money on? And who ended up winning in this entire entire thing.
Well, I just want to let you know that, yes, you were on the right side. You were on the Chargers. You said, give me 3.5. It doesn't matter. Chargers are going to beat their ass, and they did. AJ was on the wrong side, but AJ was with the public. 56% of the bets were with the Vikings last night. I don't know if that was because Carson Wentz was 7-0 all-time on Thursday Night Football, and they believed in Wentz. But no, it was an ass beating the entire time, Chargers. And one thing we haven't mentioned yet, we probably should mention, Arondé Gatson, the rookie tight end out of Syracuse, just 3 games in a row now where he's been absolutely dominant. As you can see there, almost 6-7 receptions a game, tons of yards, tons of touchdowns out of Syracuse. His dad played in the NFL. He's been a new weapon for Justin Herbert that he loves.
Yeah, and, you got Dolphins fans going crazy. Gumpy smiling like the butcher's dog over there is just listening to the name be mentioned. Is that not right, Gumps?
Absolutely.
Yeah, he was getting zipper burn last night whenever we were talking about this entire and how that night that guy's night continued to go. I like this Chargers team, man, Con, man. It feels like Harbaugh is going to be able to get any group to kind of go and win. Can they win a Super Bowl, Connor? Can the Los Angeles Chargers win a Super Bowl?
I mean, when Herbert's playing like this, no doubt. Like, even you go back to last week with the Colts, and they got killed by the Colts, but Herbert did everything he could to bring him back, but he makes every play. It feels like he really doesn't have too many flaws, especially when it comes to, like decision-making with the football. The guys they have on offense were running wide open sometimes, and then he can do this. You forget Herbert is a freak athlete sometimes, and he's faster than damn near everybody on the field. And the fact that they have a third-string running back playing the way he is, I think is just credit to Herbert because, they damn near are just they're just trying to stop Herbert, and they can't because the worry isn't too much about the running game, and then you bring in a third-string running back, and he's unbelievable. With Khalil Mack back, AJ mentioned it, Carson Wentz really didn't have any time at all yesterday. And again, I don't know what the injuries were on the Vikings. I feel like I kind of got bamboozled just because Carson Wentz came out with a bionic arm, and I didn't know that was happening. But no, as a team, as a whole, Odafe Owe, they get from the Ravens. He's making an impact immediately. And I mean, with Odafe Owe being that kind of player for them, getting traded this year, makes you think now with the other side, with the Vikings, like, do they start selling? But who knows with that? It was more so just the Chargers are all the way back, and you look at that division, Chiefs and Broncos, they got to be a little bit worried now too that there really is a 3-headed monster and then Max Crosby in the division.
Yeah, I love the fact that Harbaugh is doing what he's doing out there with that team. I think just because we appreciate him as a football guy, and we also respect and appreciate the hell out of Herbert. Continued success out there for the boys, hopefully. And for the Vikings, good luck.
Good luck.
Good luck. A lot of people still asking questions about J.J. McCarthy. He can obviously go and prove them all wrong if he has a great back half of the season. Now, yesterday I missed, which was a pretty big day. Okay, and I already did the no betting allowed thing, so I kind of blew that. Even though
it still hit.
It
hit.
Okay, 666. So the fact that it happened yesterday and I wasn't able to talk about it is, it was a bummer. I was bummed out about it. Like, as it was all unfolding, I was driving to once-in-a-lifetime event while it was all taking place on our phones and we're all learning about it. It's like, man, I feel like I'm a pretty good person to maybe chit-chat about at least the poker side of this entire thing, because poker is a huge part of my story. I started playing with it, and I was like 10 years old with my grandma. She taught me how to gamble. All my brother and then my cousins and everything, they enjoyed different styles of games than I did. It was a little bit different. So my grandma literally taught me how to gamble and play poker as a 10-year-old. So I feel like I've been, in that world more than maybe just the average person that's speaking on a microphone. Not saying that I'm a professional or anything, but just the poker world, the cards community, I am very proud to be a part of, and I love cards. And anytime you got somebody scamming the card community, that is obviously disgusting. So I think that's a horrible situation that I cannot wait to chat more about here in a second. But this whole co-conspirator alongside NBA players thing that's also happening at the same exact time that FBI Director Kash Patel put up, it feels like we're just very early in this entire thing. And then you hear about what the lawyer was saying about Terry or whoever was at the hotel and wanted them to do a perp walk and everything. It's like Kash, I feel like, and maybe the FBI understands that sports gambling is becoming a much, 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 much bigger part of our society. And I see everybody talking about how can anybody on TV talk about it whenever they're taking money from sports books and things like that. And I'm going to say this, we took and got paid a lot of money from a sports book. in FanDuel. So I would like to say this is potentially coming from a part of the problem. But players being associated with rigging games and fans of sports betting on games, I think two very different things. Obviously, is it a conflict of interest with how big sports gambling has become a part of these leagues, signing deals with leagues, signing deals with players in leagues, these sports books are. And then obviously it's all over all the marketing and everything that's a part of the game. Is that potentially a conflict of interest? Because inevitably it's going to get into a locker room or maybe into the officials, which obviously we've already seen, and it's such an easy thing to get a part of and wrapped up in. Is that going to only become more? I think these types of situations have to be big and have to be precedent setting, because I don't think the sports gambling world is going to slow down. It's obviously been happening for a very, very long time. Now it's just legalized and trackable, and there's big corporations and people profiting off this with publicly stock exchanges and marketing and coming together with sports, as opposed to being the outlier of sports. So I think the athletes have to remember that you can't give up the integrity of the game. It ruins it for everybody. So I think that's why they're making it such a big deal. Now, is it becoming easier and easier to potentially rig some of these prop bets? Certainly. And are these co-conspirators that were up there with Jonte Porter and now also being linked to Terry Rozier, how many people have they just went and talked to and said, like, hey, I can get this. All you got to do is just, we need under 3 threes tonight. Can you just maybe go get a layup, maybe get a mid-range, maybe put your foot on the line? We got an extra $150,000 for you. And then these co-conspirators all kind of bank off the back end of it. That's a dangerous game. I don't know how they stop that. I honestly don't know how they stop that. And I hope the only way that you stop it is you scare the living shit out of all the other players, not only in basketball, in all the other sports, because they haven't even ventured into the other sports that this is potentially happening in as well, let alone how many different groups of co-conspirators have their hands into different athletes, college, you name it. I mean, it is obviously a huge thing, a spiraling web if it really was to become that. So the precedent is going to have to continue to be set pretty strong, and I think that's why the FBI came out and did it the way that they did it. Now, on that note, I heard Wendy say that the NBA knew about this, so then Terry had an injury or something like that and was out for the rest of the season. And then I heard Shams last night on Inside the NBA. Shout out to Ernie Johnson, Chuck the Jet, and Shaq for having Shams on last night on Inside the NBA. And basically he said that they don't have the ability to get warrants, or it's out of their jurisdiction to be able to pull like evidence or go interview people. So what the NBA could only get was what they could get. The FBI was obviously able to get a lot more, which led to these arrests. So there's an entire who knew what at what time, and how many others do we know about until it's publicly kind of exposed? We have no idea. But now let's go to the poker game thing, because that's also getting tied in with the co-conspirators being a part of that as well. And that's Portland and then Charlotte and Miami. That's really far away. So let's assume that these co-conspirators potentially have a little bit of range. The poker game's crazy just because of how many different stories have come from the allegations of a mafia-run poker game. I heard there was x-rays under the table that was seeing through the cards. They knew what cards were coming. Maybe they had glasses on. The mafia's running this thing. Everybody's losing. And then you hear a podcast from 2023 from a Yinzer, east of Pittsburgh, Leechburg, Pennsylvania, Matt Berkey, in 2023 talks about how the exact name that was kind of mentioned yesterday in the poker world, at least in his eyes, they knew that the game was potentially worked or rigged in 2023. There was a game that traveled maybe from LA to Nevada, and the poker players knew that it was a rigged game. Joining us now, ladies and gentlemen, is the man that actually said that on his podcast, the Only Friends podcast. He's a professional poker player, has over $4 million in earnings, has made 8 World Series of Poker finals tables, and he's from the east side of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, so we appreciate the hell out of him. Ladies and gentlemen, Matt Berkey.
Yeah, Matty!
Bark, what's going on, brother? We'll talk about Sunday Night Football. We'll talk about Sunday Night Football certainly here in a little bit and your thoughts on all of that. But I watched your clip from 2023, and basically the way you were laying it out is as if you understood, or people that were playing in this particular game or these particular games know when it's rigged or when it's not rigged. How is that the case? And what have you heard about these particular poker games that maybe got them caught, if you will, Berkey, if that's a good enough question to kind of get started?
Yeah, sure. I don't want to lay it on the people who got taken for a ride in these games and make it seem like it was so obvious that they should have known. But it is one of those things where when you as a professional who don't really offer too much to a high-profile game like this that's being run around celebrities get the invite, your radar should kind of go up. And this particular game it was happening both in Los Angeles and in Las Vegas. I had gotten multiple invites, as well as a lot of friends who don't really have access to these sort of private games. And it just seemed quite suspicious to me. So I was lucky enough to pass. I had a lot of friends who lost, hundreds of thousands of dollars in these games just with the opportunity to play with a few celebrities. But yeah, once you get outside of the casino, the rules get bent quite a bit.
Okay, on that note, how many of these types of games are happening? Because obviously it says a mafia-run poker game. A lot of these games are illegal in themselves, right? Because they're obviously taxes and being held with no regulatory sanctions, anything like that. And I'm not saying that it's somebody that's maybe played in a couple of these games, but this is very similar to and I don't want to go such like a harsh metaphor, but like a lot of people think that they can either sell fake drugs or beat up drug dealers because it's an illegal activity. So nobody's going to be able to turn them in. So it's like if you do something wrong during an illegal activity, you really have nobody that's going to be able to turn you in because it's an illegal activity. The person would be ratting on themselves. How many of these maybe non-regulated illegal potential games happen? And whenever the mafia is thrown around, are they a part of a lot of these games throughout like the history of poker, maybe running these potential illegal operations that are taking place?
Yeah, I mean, look, it's going to be an all cash business, right? And that kind of lends itself to organized crime in a certain way. But I don't want it to be overstated. Like this is the majority of what's taking place in the poker community. It's unfortunate that when we get these big platforms, it's usually because there's a giant scandal or somebody's been cheated out of a lot of money. But the reality is, at the highest stake levels, games are private, period. That's just the nature of the beast. You want to be able to play with recreational players, and they want to be able to cherry pick the lineup. So if you want to be playing nosebleeds, then they're going to be privatized in some sort of capacity. Whether that's a house game or a casino game really dictates who you're catering to when it comes to the VIPs. Some people would prefer it in a more friendly environment where they can partake in extracurriculars, if you will. As far as like the mob's hand in it, I think it's one of those things where it's like you hear rumors, you always suspect, but this is the first actual like confirmation in my 22 years of playing that I've heard any real involvement there.
Okay, now let's talk about cheating a little bit in these private games that are out of the casino. Obviously, casino a little bit more regulated. Obviously, they have a gaming license, everything like that. Dealers, professional dealers, you name it. Whenever you got these private games, you're walking in on trust, basically, that everything is on the up and up. Whenever the cheating happens or something like that, I heard stories. There's X-rays now in the tables. Did you know this was happening? There's X-rays going through the tables, and they're able to tell what cards are around the corner. Did you know any of these things? And what is kind of your takeaway on what cheating does actually happen in these poker games or in poker games in general?
Yeah, I think the X-ray thing was a bit of a misunderstanding or misrepresentation of what actually took place. Basically, the home games are ripe for cheating because the back of the house has access to everything. So you as the player, you're trusting fully in whoever is particularly running this. And this notion that absolute power corrupts absolutely is kind of where these things break down. The game runner is incentivized to make the most money. The game runner is incentivized to ensure that everybody is able to get paid and they're certain to get stiffed. So they'll often take precautionary measures, whether that's taking a large rake or, in this instance, cheating the game to ensure that they're able to basically keep the Ponzi going as long as they can. As far as like the X-ray and the other methods, I think that they confused that with something that's known as infrared decks. So you can get these like pre-marked decks with infrared technology where like a fake key fob or something of that nature can actually read the deck top to bottom. And if you have somebody in the back of the house who's able to get decks into the game, then of course it's going to be very easy to rig the game. They also used invisible ink with contact lenses, but to kind of to make people at ease a little bit more, these methods are very complicated. You could never do this in a casino, or at least be incredibly difficult. You need a middleman who's able to get the decks into the game, who's able to orchestrate the entire thing. And that's kind of the issue with these unregulated games, is that you're dealing with an environment where all your trust is solely in the person who is incentivized to make the most money.
Hand in the cookie jar. Let's make sure we all get equal amounts of cookies. That's an interesting dilemma for humans since the beginning of time, let alone maybe a potential gambling community. Last question from me. How many of these games are taking place on a regular basis? Like, if you just had to give a projection. Like, I put this tweet out as soon as I heard about it, and obviously I grew up in the World Series of Poker era. I think you did as well, and we're in the Pittsburgh area. A lot of Italians, a lot of games. We did a lot of this. I assume that's where you started as well. I just want to make sure to reiterate that fact. That was not me. There's a lot of Pat McAfee out there. Now, there is a lot of those, but I played in a lot of games. Like, I've played in a lot of poker games, a lot of private games. Now this is a long time ago, long time ago. And I think statute of limitations is like 5 years or something, depending upon which year, whenever it comes to these things. So this was at least 5.2 years ago, 5.1 years ago. This was long time ago. These games are happening on a very regular basis, though. I think that is something that needs to be said as well. It's not like a majority of these games, to go back to your point. Card community, I think, does have morals. Like, I think we do have, like, unwritten rules in the card community, let alone at the level that you're at. Like, this is an abnormal thing, right? This is how people should be viewing this, as opposed to maybe a regular thing in the card world. Because it's kind of an attack on cards, brother. And I don't like that at all.
Yeah. It's an attack on people who are willing to go to the ends of the earth to make a buck, I think. To your point, these games, they're happening coast to coast. They're not actually illegal to run or to play in, so you don't have to worry about your statute of limitation. They're illegal to take a rake. So if the house is profiting off of it, now you're stepping on the casino's toes, and that becomes the big issue. But yeah, I was in the basement of the steakhouse the same way that you were coming up, just playing a little 5-10 with a bunch of bookies, Blairville Johnny and, Mike the Greek, all flinging cards back and forth. And at the time, I was 21. I was totally naive to everything, and I just went in there blindly trusting. Thank God those guys were on the up and up.
Yeah, legit. Me too. I literally thought about my high school story when this whole thing made, and I walked down into a basement, literally, of like an Italian restaurant, and it's like, man, thank God those guys let me win. I guess like that was very. Imagine if they don't, like, on the way out, I just don't go to the camp. My whole life changes. It's like I'm very appreciative of said Italian restaurant that took care of me there, and I'm very appreciative of cards as a whole. I hope people don't get scared to continue to play cards. Cards are great. Play euchre, obviously, out in Indiana a lot. Obviously, play rummy with the wife. Not scared to play a little tonk. Not scared to play a little 727. Not scared to play hold'em. You name it. Like, cards are good. It's good for community. It's good, everything like that. I hate that people are trying to scam the shit out of people at the highest level, and that's making national headlines. But people like you, Burke, will continue to carry the torch of good card playing, and we appreciate the hell out of you.
Thank you, guys.
All right, man. I hope you get every card. Ladies and gentlemen, Matt Berkey.
Yay!
Yeah, I thought that was just some information that people need to know, because there was some crazy stuff. It was all kind of taking on a life of its own about what these card games were, what was happening. Yeah. I saw some people putting out graphics of these X-rays under the table. And it's like, oh my God. I mean, how could you know if anything was in there? So I appreciate him, who lives in it literally every single day for the last 15 years, talking about it. That's crazy, AJ. I'm a card person. You are as well. It's like this can't be like what people think cards are as a whole. You know
I'd imagine. I think we're giving people too much credit, almost thinking like there's these super complex situations going on all around the country where they're cheating everybody out of money. I don't think it's that rampant, but I mean, this is a giant case that the FBI came down on, so it's happening for sure.
Yeah, like, there's always been people that try to, like, I'll tap the table when I have a diamond or a spade. Like, there's always, like, table talk, potentially setup options out of people. But I feel like that's a part of me trying to catch those people while playing. Like, I got to know that these people were pretty. But it's just like the Houston Astros, I guess.
Technology.
Whenever they go, like, there's a line here. Mm-hmm. And then going that far is just not great. The fact that these guys, with how much money that they have doing that, I don't get it. I don't know what the leverage. There had to be some sort of leverage on these guys.
Definitely.
Yes. That's what doesn't make sense. Like, that's the stuff that I feel like will be interesting to look at just going forward with these cases. And like, just like the baseball thing, to your point, now I'm just looking back through all my like favorite players and all the guys I loved like growing up, especially in the NBA, and you're just now you just wonder about everything, It's like, I'm glad. No, I know, but seriously, like especially for Matt, like, I don't think I would have been able to ask him a question without wanting to know some sort of information about people or players, and that's why this situation is so sticky, because some people are coming out and just saying a lot of stuff, and
Yes.
it's hard not to look at that stuff, and like it's not meant for any public conversation, but and regardless they're doing it, but it's one of those things where now you just start to wonder about everything when it comes to things of this nature, just because it is so prevalent, especially now with gambling.
Yeah, I don't think we need to go back in time and start questioning anything. Speaking of going back in time, Tim Donaghy's going. Excuse me.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
So I mean that is just, it only opens up for it. And D-Bud asked Adam Silver the other day, whenever we got a chance to talk to him about like, hey, tell us about gambling. And he talked about playing defense. And now Shams has reported that the NBA did not know about this until we all knew about this. So Adam Silver at the time, I don't think knew that all these announcements were coming. At least that's what's being reported in this whole thing. But he certainly knows that, hey, like one of the biggest knocks on our league, especially now with how prevalent gambling is that how riggable it is. Just because anything can be a foul. Anything can be a foul. And if you give 2 fouls on a guy early, he's out of the game. So it's like in this case, co-conspirator 8, which fits a lot of the descriptors of the poker player up there in Portland, tells Fainsey or something, I forget the name of the guy, that somebody's not going to be playing for the rest of the games, the last 10 games of the season or whatever. Nobody else knows it. It's like you pick one player out, that's like a guaranteed loss almost. And like basketball is so ripe.
Oh yeah.
If you look at it from a preying standpoint of taking advantage of AJ, which we certainly know some gamblers will try. So it's like him trying to play defense on that. Like, can we get irrelevant props maybe out completely so there's not even like I think they're trying their best over there at the NBA. Legitimately, I think they're trying their absolute best. AJ.
Yeah, they're gonna. I mean, you mentioned they're gonna probably come down with a pretty hard sentence or whatever is gonna happen now, because you have to scare not only NBA players, you need to scare football players, baseball players, the MLS. I'm sure the MLS is susceptible to this. Everyone is. Anyone can come and ruin a whole situation like that.
Yeah, no way.
Yeah, but we're a part of the problem because we took sportsbook money. It's like I get that.
It's a lot different than manipulating a game and shaving points off a game and changing a game like that.
Yeah,
it's also legal.
Yeah, but I understand how it's just sitting there though to use. Like I think yesterday there was ESPN Bet logo on there.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And we'd like to let everybody know nobody's betting on that. It was up on the screen while they were talking about it, and you can see how hypocritical that would potentially look. And it's like we're trying to say that there's a line. Yeah, we're trying to say that there's a line between like the difference, but then they're saying, well, the line is all kind of becoming. You can see how people are. It's like, yeah, we all can see what the susceptibility is here, but we're all saying that there's certainly differences between being a part of the action and betting on the action. 50. Go ahead.
I'd say people are definitely taking like liberties though. Like there's a big difference between promoting a legal sports book and betting legally versus rigging basketball games. And that's, as Berkey said, that's something Blairsville Johnny would never do.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. That's a good point.
What do you say, Mike?
Mikey the Greek.
Yep.
Mikey the Greek. Yeah.
Down in Wilmerding. Yeah.
Somebody need to check out Mikey the Greek. He always got cards, this guy. Yeah. He was always hanging around. Turn River was always really nice to Mikey the Greek. I think we need to check in maybe on what he's got cooking. A little different Greek yogurt on that particular thing. You know what I'm talking about. Joining us now, ladies and gentlemen, is an Irish man from Pittsburgh. Okay?
Hell yeah.
So I would assume that he knows about a lot of this stuff that is potentially happening, at least how it could potentially take place in the sports world. Ladies and gentlemen, our coach, Super Bowl champion, Coach Mike McCarthy.
Yeah, Coach.
Wow, picking on the Irish right out the gate, huh? Oh, my goodness.
I'm Patrick McAfee. My name is Patrick McAfee. You are Mike McCarthy, okay? I come from Italian community. What was yours, Irish or Italian?
Both. There's both Irish and Italian in Greenfield, and then the lower part of Greenfield was more hunky, Slovak, Czechoslovakian, of the sort. So
we didn't have a lot of Czechoslovakians in Plum. We had all Italians. I mean, it was just Italians everywhere. You just walk outside. There's an Italian right there. There's an Italian right there. Jeez Louise, there's another one. Good God. All right, we got some more pasta, more gravy. Got it. Prosciutto, we do that.
Tell you what, some of them weren't always on the up and up in those games we played in either. I'll tell you that.
Yeah, that's a fact.
Yeah, I know one.
That is certainly a fact. But on that note, the NBA is caught up in a massive thing. Like, as a coach in the NFL during the era here of sportsbooks becoming legalized and a part of the league and the culture as a whole, did you feel obligated to talk about that with your team at all? Like, how do you kind of address that with the team other than just the signs that are everywhere in the hope that nobody will want to kind of get involved with that type of stuff, Coach?
Well, I mean, you definitely have to talk about it. I think the league has done, the NFL has done an excellent job with the education. It starts in the spring during the off-season program, and ultimately, as we've all been through the meetings there in training camp. But the continuing education throughout the season is important, and I think just clearly, just the volume of betting. As far as the variation, I think, we had a situation at one point in the past season where a player went out of the game and the communication wasn't clean between, the training staff, the player, and communication to the head coach, whether the player was up or down. And and when a player does go out of the game, that obviously affects the in-game betting. So I just think when you add that whole element to the in-game betting has created a whole different, I mean, my goodness, amount of scrutiny, and with that, I think just the communication as a coaching staff, training staff, players, and so forth during the course of the game, your communication needs to be even better. So, but yeah, it's the landscape's definitely different. I mean, it's totally different than I know when I first got into the league in the 90s. I mean, in the 90s, I can remember my first gambling presentation, and you kind of laugh about it. I mean, it was a joke, but it was like, hey, don't leave a paper trail. Use cash only. So so
you're part of the problem. You're part of the problem, Coach. You're part of the problem. Yeah,
no, but like I said, it was a joke. But it was just a whole different landscape back then. I mean, it's changed so much, and in the volume and in the variations of what you can bet on, especially in game, it's amazing.
Yeah, and you talk about what the NFL had to go through with like fantasy football. Remember, Tony Romo wasn't allowed to go to some event in Vegas for fantasy football, but he was allowed to take a check for like a scratch off and stay. And they're like, nope, you're allowed to play blackjack, but you're not allowed to take free drinks while you're playing blackjack. Remember this? You're not allowed to get a hotel room, but you're allowed to play roulette if you want. Like they had to the NFL had like to really. There was a lot of NCAA. What did the NCAA just approve?
Yeah, they just legalized gambling for all divisions, Division 1, Division 2, Division 3 on pro sports.
Yep.
We're in such a weird time right now, Coach. Yeah, as it's becoming so prevalent, like everybody's trying to adjust and be fair and be real about the situation. We all know, everybody that's ever been a part of any of the sports, can't have the players or the people in the games, coaches or affecting the games, be rigging the games, because then you take down everything for all of us, okay? So stop being so fucking selfish. Now, let's talk about the game last night, shall we, Coach? Carson Wentz, obviously, in the middle of battle all night with this Chargers team. Now, Justin Herbert with Joe Alt starting this year, they're 4-0. Feels like he's a real difference maker. What's your takeaway from last night's domination by the Los Angeles Chargers, Coach?
Yeah, definitely. I think like most games, it really starts up front, and I think having Joe Alt back definitely made a huge difference. And you can't from the start of the game, I mean, the Chargers were in control throughout. I mean, I think they had plus 40 rushes, and I think Justin threw the ball about 27, 28 times. So, I mean, that's a great formula for success. I thought they ran, they threw it. I thought the chunk yardages, and I thought Justin really played a really gritty game, with his rushing attempts and, extended plays. And when he did throw it off the action game, you could definitely see, the big play opportunities that they were able to hit. So I thought Chargers were clearly in charge, up front. I know there was a lot of injury challenges throughout the week, and I know we've talked about this in past weeks. The Thursday night injury challenge, in my experience, it's clearly the biggest, because you're trying to get an injured player that may or may not play in the game, get him reps, but then also if he doesn't go, you're trying to get the next guy the reps and to get that coordinated, to get the connection and continuity that you want to get each and every week going into it. It's Thursday night being a short week on its own is a challenge, but it's really on both sides of the spectrum of is he playing, isn't he playing, and so forth. And I think definitely I thought Joe Alt looked like his old man there last night. I thought he played a hell of a game.
Coach, we saw, speaking of injuries, J.J. McCarthy, he's on the sideline. We showed a clip a little bit ago. I don't know if you watched him. He's got some great agility. He's supposed to have an ankle injury, I guess. He's moving pretty dang well right here. You see, he avoids a disaster. That could have been really, really bad. And he's still locked in on the game. I guess it seems like we're expecting to see J.J. McCarthy in the near future under center for the Vikings. What do you expect to see when McCarthy gets back in here?
Well, I think the biggest thing in not knowing without any communication, but the fact that he was the third quarterback in the game tells you he's close. So I thought that was definitely a good sign for JJ. But yeah, I think clearly getting back in there and just getting him into the rhythm. I mean, I think clearly if you're calling a defense against a young quarterback, you really want to make it hard for him on first and second down, because I know as an offensive coach, offensive play caller, you're always trying to make the ride for normal down the distance a little easier on your quarterback, because we all know that third down and red zone is where they truly make their money, and the emphasis on making sure he's ready there, because those are the things when you don't play as a quarterback, to get back into that time clock, because things move differently, faster, and come at you differently in third down and in the red zone part of it. So I think if it can just move them around, the quarterback to movements and keeps and so forth, and tie the run and action passing game together, give him some productivity so he's playing a favorable down distance in third down, and give him some clean opportunities in the red zone.
Yeah, you always want to have favorable down and distance, Donner. You certainly want that whenever you're talking about an offensive game. You want to matriculate
the ball. Just teeing you up there, Fed. Just teeing you up, little Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
Are we going half back today? I didn't get the memo. Little Irish guy trying to get some sun on his face, it looks like that.
Hey, that looks awesome. You look unbelievable. AJ, please. AJ, please. AJ.
There you go. There he is. AJ, you look good behind the mic there. There's all right, Ty.
There we go. Oh, there you go.
Yeah, Tone.
Where's Gumpy?
Tone,
do it.
Flip it around.
Tone. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
I got the height on it.
Back at you.
Hey, okay, so the Backwards Hat Boys are here to talk a little ball, and I am certainly having a blast about that. Okay, let's talk J.J. McCarthy potentially getting back onto the field. Obviously, Carson Wentz has the night that he has under duress. They had Sam Darnold in that building, obviously. They had Danny Dimes in that building beforehand. Aaron allegedly was interested in going there. Now you're talking about guys that are having incredible seasons, and the Vikings are in the situation that they're in. Excited to see how they move past that. Hopefully JJ is a guy. Let's talk about another quarterback that is having an absolutely massive season, which I assume is no surprise to you. Go ahead, Ty.
Yeah, Coach, like 3 or 4 weeks ago, the Cowboys were pretty much left for dead, even though Dak had been doing, unbelievable. The last couple weeks, defenses looked a little bit better. What's your overall thought on the Cowboys as we stand right now? And do you think they're kind of, we've already heard Jerry mention it, and it's kind of been floating around. Like, are they going to be buyers at the trade deadline, thinking that they actually might be able to kind of make some noise down the stretch and going into the playoffs?
Yeah, clearly staying out of the homer mindset here. We've talked about this since the draft. I think this is an ascending football team. I think they did the right things during the offseason. As far as going through, veteran free agency, the draft. In my experience of being a head coach is the biggest improvement in your football team comes from the players that are already there. And they got an excellent locker room and an excellent group of core players, and they're young. I look at the Cowboys and the Packers very similar. These are young teams that are only going to get better. And I think that, with the injury challenge that every team has, if they can just stay in front of that a little bit more, this team's going to get better each week. And I do agree with you on the defense. The offense has hit their stride. They're putting up big numbers. But, also I think when you look at stats, the defense has played in 2 overtime games. So, that goes both ways. That definitely weighs down your statistics. And I think the defense, if they can, the mindset, if they can just get 1 stop a half, build that up to 1 stop a quarter, and the way the offense is playing and their special teams, particularly, their battery, their core guys are as good as anybody's in the league. So I think this is a very good football team that has an arrow pointing up. I've always felt that. As far as being buyers, I think they just got to stay the course. Micah Parsons deserved the contract that he received in Green Bay, and on a personal level, when you see one of your players get that contract, it's obviously exciting because he's definitely earned that. But what it has put Dallas in a position to do second contracts on their draft class guys that are coming up, and that's where AJ, our experience in Green Bay, we were able to keep signing all those second contracts, and you do not have enough good football players. We've talked about this on the show before, 77 players to win a Super Bowl. And I think what they're doing in their roster development is exactly the way you need to do it. They've gotten more second contracts done in the last 2 months than I know I saw in my time there, and that's a huge benefit to the overall roster development of that football team. Young team, excellent locker room. They can lean on the offense right now. I do believe the defense is going to be better. It's the third, 3 defensive coordinators in 3 years. That stuff does factor a little bit, especially, philosophically, they've gone back more 23 than what they were in 24. So I just think this is a good team. If they can stay healthy, keep working together, it's a really good group of guys that bust their ass, and that's the facts, Jack. That's what I feel about those guys.
Yeah, and I was about to say, you've never been bitter. Even whenever you joined us at the draft, which was just a couple months removed from, you no longer being the head coach of the team, you talked about how good you thought that team was, how good the roster was. Then when the Micah thing happens, you don't bury anybody. You stayed very above board with the entirety of it all. And you just talked about roster development and second contracts and everything like that. Shall we give Landman, Jerry Jones, a little bit more credit maybe? Because everybody kills him for everything, but it sounds like you're talking about actually being able to build from within and keep your own guys, which is what I don't think a lot of people think of whenever they think of the Dallas Cowboys. Everybody thinks Jerry Jones got his hands on too many things. He's ruining the roster as opposed to any other stuff. Who takes the compliment for being able to build the roster the way it is? And how did you know that this group was going to be a group that was going to be good, even though, there was a lot of shit being thrown at him after the Micah trade?
Well, first off, I do want to thank you for recognizing my EQ there, Pat. That was awesome. But secondly, I do think
that is good EQ. That is good.
It's good EQ. But I think okay, awesome.
You're on it, Connor. This is EQ. This is EQ.
There you go.
Yeah. I potted that up. No problem.
I think it's their process here. I think the process of how they build the roster. You're looking at this thing as 2, 3, 4 years of draft classes that are come together. And one of the things I know when I first went to Green Bay, and the benefit of working in Kansas City, I always felt was our off-season program was so good because so many guys lived there in the off-season. And in Green Bay, that was a bit of a challenge. Now we had some guys later in their career that would stay there year-round, but the benefit you have in Dallas, Texas, is your whole team's there 12 months out of the year, and these guys are developing and working out together all the time, even if it's not at the facility. It could be across the street, So this is a very tight.
The White House,
group.
Yeah.
Oh man,
that's what you're
in a weight room.
Hey.
Yeah, across the street. That's what he was talking about, right?
Well, you get too much sun on your face there, my man.
Yeah, come on, Pat.
I was trying to give you. I was trying to talk some real ball here. Yeah, you better move that out.
Come on. Me too.
AJ, let's get him back.
What are we doing? Here we go, Coach. Here we go. We're back. We're back.
White House.
I'm sorry, it wasn't across the street. That was across the practice field. I'm sorry, I cut you off there. But you're saying the boys are around. You're saying the boys are around.
Oh, no, they're there all the time. I mean, it's a good group. And Dax, he's an incredible leader. He has a situation where he's part of a workout facility there that, you go in there, January, February, March, there's 40, 50 NFL players there. So it's just a really good training environment. I just think that, and we used to say it every year in Green Bay when we were together, the biggest improvement will come from the guys that are already there. The draft class is great. The free agents you're at, they're nice because they're new, they're fresh, but the main dudes, your core guys, that's what makes the needle move each and every year. And I think Dallas is in that mode right now. And I think they got a chance to be a pretty good damn football team next couple of years.
George Pickens, obviously huge pickup as well. Fits right into the culture. They like,
Absolutely.
yeah, huge. And him playing as good as he's playing and buying in as quickly as he has, good for him because he was fun to watch whenever he was playing good football. And obviously, there's always going to be stuff around wide receivers. I'm happy he's getting the rock. Dak handling it perfectly. Now, let's talk about some things that have come up in a couple different games now. Obviously, a couple different games. There's been some blatant misses when it comes to the refs, but the refs as a whole have become a little bit of a conversation piece. Connor has a question for you.
Yeah, Coach. There's actually a study UTEP just did, and they, kind of released it about, benefiting from certain calls as teams. And, the Chiefs were the team to spotlight. And I have a Patriots helmet on my desk, so believe me, I get it, okay? But TJ Lang said, basically along the lines of, look, like when the Packers, when we were really going, when we were the best, sometimes there were certain crews where we would benefit from. And I saw some people respond to that saying that's the single dumbest thing said in modern history. But I don't think TJ Lang, took it that serious. But when it's, when it comes to those type of things, reffing crews, and not just in the NFL and NCAA and kind of all sports, even, umpire crews, if that's how that works, whatever, you get it. When it comes to NFL reffing crews, why do you think some crews have a different feel for the game? Do you think that is, kind of depending on the teams? Do you think that's depending on the weather? Like, why do you think that refs kind of decide and go about games kind of differently on a week-to-week basis when fans like myself just kind of see it as like, hey, whether it's a 1 o'clock game, whether it's a primetime game, whether it's Wednesday afternoon football, like the game needs to be called the exact same no matter what?
Well, I look at it, every season, as a journey. You look at, as a head coach, and you look at players, the vibe and how everything moved through your season. Where you are as a team. There's ups and downs, and the ebb and flow is so critical. Well, I mean, the officiating crews, they go through the same thing, and I think the biggest thing is, to answer your question specifically, there's a number of variables I think that go into how these crews have to manage their ebb and flow of a season. And this is obviously my opinion. I think number one, the white hat. He's the leader of the crew. He has the biggest effect on the crew each and every week because these guys put a ton of work into it. And I think one of the best things the league has done here of late, the last, I don't know how many years it's been, 5, 6, 7 years, is having the crews be a big part of the training camp. So you're seeing these guys, these crews are going out to 2 or 3 training camps themselves. So now the interaction with the players and coaches is higher than it's ever been. So, interaction, common language, common understanding, the fact that, players get to know the name and the face of each guy. I've always put the guys up in front of the team meeting room and had them, interact as much as possible, encourage them to be around the players as much as possible in the cafeteria and things like that. So that's part of it. But as the season goes on, they're getting graded every week. They understand that the trends, they know what the trends are of holdings up and what's down, and they know if they miss a call and things like that too. So the human nature is. Oh, I think so. I think the human nature.
Coach, that pool report shit is bullshit.
I'm not standing up for the poll report. Yeah, the poll. Who wants? I don't even know why they do the poll report.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly. That's what we're saying.
Yeah, because what are we testing? Their immediate accountability after the game. So there's another box to check. That to me, I must have missed something. I don't know, but did something happen in the poll report that I missed in my?
No, you just talked about these guys. No, you said that these guys know whenever they get a call wrong or whatever. Then every time we hear from them, it's always this pool report, and they go, "Well, we actually did this," and there's no accountability. So, one of the reasons why people get so mad is because there's seemingly no accountability from the refs at all. And they'll send you guys an email, "Hey, we missed this one. So yeah, you guys lost the game. Your entire staff's probably getting fired, and the player has a low light for the rest of his life on there. But we missed that call. We apologize." It's like the accountability thing is always like the biggest, I think, from the fans. So you're saying they know they missed the call. I think that's big news. Okay, at least behind.
Well, I'm not saying immediately after the game, Pat. The poll report to your. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
They claim they claim they get graded from whoever their top official is. They say they grade them, and then those guys don't get playoff games if you're one of the lower graded crews. I guess at least that's what they've said to me.
Yeah.
That's what I was referring to. The post game evaluation process that they do go through. I do know they go that, and then as a coach, you do have the opportunity to call the league office and call the regional director. So I just think that it's just like anything. I mean, you want to solve problems, heighten the communication, heighten the education, heighten the interaction, between the people that you want to, perform better. And I think the league office has done that with the officiating crews. You have the opportunity to communicate more with those guys more today, I know, than back in 06, when I first became a head coach. So I think the system of trying to get it right, they're definitely working it. But, at the end of the day, I know one of the things, just watching TV, being a fan, it looks like they've had a lot of change in personnel too. So, I mean, there's newer guys, there's more going on. So, I mean, that takes time too. So, but I do think the White Hats, the head guys are very much impactful on how that crew is going to officiate each week. And the communication that goes into that, and the fact that they can communicate now during the game on the headsets, I think was a huge asset when they put that in. And what's that? 10 years now, 8, 9. So it kind of all runs together. But I think all those steps have been very beneficial to improving our game, or attempting to.
I agree, and I even like the New York calling in saying, hey, this is obvious, get away with it. But then whenever they lie about it, I mean, it's just a tough gig. Nobody wants to be refs. There's a lot of new refs, a lot of good refs leaving. I think they're only going to continue to get better. Let's get some more players in a pipeline to become officials in the NFL as well. Last question here about the biggest game of the weekend. AP Tone has one about another McCarthy Bowl. Go ahead, Tone.
We had McCarthy Bowl 1. That was the Cowboys and Packers earlier this year, ending in overtime. We have McCarthy Bowl 2 this weekend, Sunday Night Football.
Hell yeah.
Aaron Rodgers and the Steelers take on the Green Bay Packers. Coach, obviously you have some ties to this one. I don't know if you're going to be there or not, but how do you think this affects Aaron? Because obviously you know Aaron better than a lot of us. Like the motivation going into Sunday Night Football, how do you feel Aaron deals with that and just the game overall?
Well, first off, you guys are awesome because you've communicated so well that this is actually a McCarthy Bowl. So, and I've been invited to this one. So I feel really good about it.
Let's go.
But I think it's going to be a hell of a game. And I think just fall ball back in Pittsburgh, the Packers coming to town. I think it's going to be an incredible setting. Really looking forward to watching the game. So I think it's a pick 'em. I'm going back to the old pigskin games. I don't even know what the line is. Don't want to know what the line is. I think this is going to be a hell of a football game. Looking forward to watching.
I'm excited for you to get back there and hopefully get your love. I'm happy you were invited, and we appreciate the hell out of you, Coach. I think the backwards hat, not a bad play. Dan Quinn started doing it. You saw it. He became like a Florida man whenever he joined you. He started doing a backwards hat under your leadership. We appreciate the hell out of you, Coach. Safe travels back to Pittsburgh.
All right, man. Have a great week. Thank you.
You're the man, ladies and gentlemen, Coach Mike McCarthy.
Yeah, Coach.
Hey, look at this, boys. Obviously, that's DoorDash. If you need to get anything at any time from something that is around you in any capacity, go to our friends at DoorDash. You can save up $250 this season when you order on game days. That's an asterisk. That probably means there's something to talk about that more. I do not have that on me. Okay, now, DoorDash is the greatest, though. We have obviously sang their praises. Look at this. Look at this. I mean, we got a couple different shots here that have been plugged in by the boys. Okay, that's obviously First Bank Stadium Jumbotron. How about this? Boom!
Whoa! Is that the Vanderbilt Tower?
Yeah. I'm not 100% sure. I assume it's a super duper tower there. And then look at these. These are brand new suites that they just built in here.
Whoa! Those are filthy.
Corner of the end zone. I like that.
That's awesome.
That looks fake,
and then
too,
here's a very artsy shot of me saying this city of Nashville is so damn beautiful. And there is obviously a lot of greats and legendary things that have come from this beautiful city. And this particular football team is the next thing. These sports here in town are spectacular. I'm lucky to be here. We'll be back on the other side. We got incredible Coach Saban joining us. Be a friend, tell a friend something nice that might change their life. Take three.
That's crazy. And also take us off the fucking team. We do not deserve to be on there. They all commit and love what's going on in that weight room. They all commit and love what Jim Harbaugh's preaching. And everybody in the building's happy. Everybody's like excited to be there.
First row. Mark pressure in the first row. Second row is on here.
It is infectious, what they got going on. And how many owners are spending $300 million on a new facility just for a practice facility?
This is Butler Birdies. Wow!
Oh my God! Oh shit! In the bunker.
Great shot. But then for them to do it upright for the last couple, it's like, look out for the Chargers, dude. Look out for the Chargers.
Coach. Hey, we got a gift for you. Here we go. Okay, so we missed your birthday, we missed Christmas. We couldn't.
Whoa, look at that.
Your perspective on high five is one of the greatest things we've ever seen.
So all-time greatest event.
I love the high five. Yeah, give each other a high five.
Boom!
Bam!
Boom!
Bam!
Boom! Boom!
Oh my God!
Wow! Boom!
So we wanted to make you basically something that you could high five. My dad made this.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
You can tell.
Yeah, boom.
Look at that feeling.
Yeah, boom. Yeah, boom, boom. And we tested it. I think you can get a pretty good pop if you need. Yeah.
That is incredible.
Obviously, national champion, Michigan man, and greatest high five.
Yeah.
Because of what you brought for the high five world.
Oh, yeah.
He tried to give a handshake to that particular high five trophy. Did break the hand off. We had to put it back on.
Way to go, handshake.
Oh no! Oh no!
There we go.
We have so much respect for you.
You guys just roll deep. This would be entourage level, wouldn't it?
To be honest, we didn't know we were going to be able to get 11 people in here, and then we pulled up and said, you have 11. That's where it should roll at 11. Yeah, always start at 11. Yeah, you're right. You're the best. I mean, wow, it looks like a lot of highlights against one particular team.
They played more than one game. Why do they have all these TDs for one game?
Imposing our will.
This sucks.
Party in the backfield. No one.
We mean no
one.
The following program is a collection of stooges talking about happenings in the sports world. It is meant to be comedic informative. The opinions expressed on this show do not necessarily reflect the beliefs of their peers, their boss, or ESPN. There may be some cuss words because that's how humans in the real world talk. If you are young, please seek permission before watching any further.
Hey,
Why?
let's go.
This show stinks. And the fact that you listen, we are very, very thankful for.
McAfee on the line with a gorgeous assist.
The all-time leading tackler for the Green Bay Packers, you pig!
Damn it!
Be a friend, tell a friend something nice could change their life.
Welcome in hour 2 of the Pat McAfee Show. Feel Good Friday, October 24th. I'm AJ Hawk sitting in for Pat here in Indianapolis. Pat's in Nashville. Big game tomorrow. Football! That's right, Pat. What Chargers obviously annihilated the Vikings last night. Dominant performance, 37-10. I had to glance down and check. I can't believe the score is that high, actually. 37-10. What a win for the Chargers. Pat, what a win for you as well. I picked the Vikings. I was on the wrong side of that with Coach Mike McCarthy. Looks like the Chargers are rolling, huh, Pat?
Yeah, I didn't know that. Honestly, I didn't get to see the pick segment of program yesterday. I thought you guys did an incredible job. I'm very thankful for you guys. I'm down here in Nashville. Yesterday was one of the coolest days that has ever happened. Obviously, you guys did a great job. I assumed everybody was going to be on the Chargers. Honestly, I just, as soon as I saw the line, I'm like, this feels like a Chargers. This team is very good. Now, obviously, they look like ass last week against the Colts and dressed like ass last week against the Colts with the yellow jerseys. And to your point, to start this thing, one half of the hammer, Dahn. Cowboys, AP tone. Maybe they just decided to wear the better uniform, and that's why the football gods blessed them as opposed to the yellow. And the Toxic Table at Boston Connor and at Ty Schmidt. This Chargers team, Ty, looked like who we thought they could potentially be. And what a perfect time maybe to have their best game thus far, Ty.
Yeah, without a doubt. Like you mentioned, especially coming off because I think a lot of people were jumping off the Chargers bandwagon after last week. Hey, this team's so beat up. But like Connor mentioned in the first hour, when Justin Herbert plays like this, man, it's hard to envision many teams that they can beat anybody, and they're one of those teams who, a couple teams have been super banged up this year and their season has gone one way and it's kind of like, oh, it's over already. But, for their offensive line and running backs to be as banged up as they have been and them kind of just staying the course and continuing to look this good, I'd agree, especially with Harbaugh and Herbert. I don't think this is a team you really want to see down the stretch if you're in, playoff contention in the AFC.
Yeah, Joe Alt's an absolute force. The Chargers seemingly good with whoever's on their roster, and Lad McConkey is going to be one of the ones. Just long term. Now let's pivot away from last night's game. Let's do some NFL news. Remember when Dayball was telling the unaffiliated neurological consultant person to hurry it up with his quarterback in the blue tent? He pokes his head in there and goes, "Hey, what you do?" He's got a cigar. He watches one rep from Russell Wilson, who we're learning now is one of the greatest tweeters of all time. Love what he did there. Sees one rep of Russell Wilson, goes, "I don't think so." Goes into the blue tent, says, "Where's Jackson Dart?" The entire thing. Everybody the next day goes, "That can't happen." Full uproar, obviously, because the reason why that blue tent was made is so that the unk and the doctors can get a little alone time without any pressure of making a decision that isn't good for the player, but it is good for the team maybe to get him back in there. Everybody thought they were going to come down hard on Dayball for this entire thing. Well, they fined them all. So the NFL has fined the Giants $200,000. Head coach Brian Daboll $100,000, and Cam Scatterbo $15,000. Because you remember the issue with him is his head's so big. He poked his head in there. It's like when one of those Texas Longhorns puts their head into something. The whole blue tent rattled when Scatterbo put his head into that thing because of how large it is. That's what the $15,000 fine's for. I think he'd be okay to be proud of that. But Daboll getting $100,000 directly, and then the Giants getting $200,000 as a whole is certainly enough money that makes head coaches say, "I'm not doing that again. I'm not going to lose $100,000." But I don't know if any punishment would be as big as what people wanted the next day. AJ, do you remember how people were reacting the day after about this?
I had no idea in the watching it in real time that people would freak out that much.
Me neither. Dayball going in there. Hey, what do we? Can we get a little bit of a
get him out of there?
Lot on the line here. It's not going good. That entire thing. It certainly is. It was abnormal, especially because Doctor.
That is awesome visual.
Hey, come on! Can we do the test? 1, 2, follow the eye. Can we? What are we doing here? Let's get after it. So him doing that. And there's a doctor going, "You're not supposed to do that. There's no way." I assume that medical person says that. But on that exact night before the game starts, who's Dr. Stills, I think is his name, from the NFL? Sills. Dr. Sills from the NFL actually did a social media video about how this is a sanctuary in here. This is sacred place, this blue tent. This is what's in here. Nobody's allowed in here at all. And then 4 hours later, Dayball's just poking his head. "Yeah, let's kind of go ahead and do this." So I think they made obviously a massive deal out of it. I don't think the NFL wants to see anybody trying to interfere, influence medical people into getting players back on the field, especially with all the injuries, and especially when it comes to concussions, everything they've been through over the last 15 years of science kind of telling us what it is. So, yeah, 200,000, 100,000, and 15,000. I don't know if it'll be enough for the people that wanted maybe Dayball to be kicked off the tour, Doug, but it certainly is a punishment from the NFL, AJ.
Yeah, if I was Scatterbo, I'm appealing that though. I would say, "Hey, I was trying to go see the doctor. What do you mean? I was next in line or something." That's all he's got to say. For real.
Everybody's judging. Yeah. They don't think I could have had a headache. I get it. My head is a part of my superpowers, but I was also feeling a little.
Yeah. So I appealed that thing. You just get cut in half, maybe. I don't know.
That's a $7,500 fine would be a hilarious fine from the NFL. Have you ever seen one that small?
They used to cut fine. They used to you could get some leeway. If you got fined 15, you might be able to cut it in half. Then they stopped doing that a long time ago, I think.
These fines are huge. There was an entire report or a statement, I guess, from McCarthy here, Brian McCarthy, the NFL's PR, and it's a joint statement from the NFL and the NFLPA about how they got to this and what, that blue tent represents and what it is, what players and coaches can't do. So they obviously take care of that, and it's a lot of words. That's a big statement, Brian. Yeah. I mean,
come on.
It feels like a story, dude. Can we get a statement a little bit? I'm not reading that right now on air. Statement should be very easily read. Like, let's just get to it. There's like 2 paragraphs setting the tone, and I assume the NFLPA and the NFL are jousting for every word on how it goes there. But that's a lot of words to be put out. Statement basically can't do it is what they all said. Can't do it. So congrats to them, kind of getting done with that entire thing. The Bengals have a situation brewing. Con man, what's going on with the Bengals and their linebacker, brother?
Yeah, absolute dog Logan Wilson yesterday kind of requested a trade out of nowhere. It felt like, especially coming off a Bengals massive win. I do believe this is a situation where he's just kind of yelling at air. Great tweet from Schefter. Awesome. Gotta love it. But just based off the Bengals' history, don't think anything's really going to come with this. This is kind of news that's not news because it's the Bengals, but there is a disgruntled linebacker in Cincinnati. And, I mean, AJ, you probably know, Logan Wilson for the Bengals is so good.
I've been following this. So there's 2 young rookie linebackers that are getting a lot more time. This has been going on for, 2, 3, 4 weeks now where Logan Wilson's play time has just been reduced. And I was in the stadium last Thursday, and I'm watching him kind of run all. I think they said he played 40-some% of the snaps the last Thursday game. But, yeah, Logan Wilson's actually handled it very well. I've heard him speak to the media, and he said, like, hey, I'm going to support these guys. Like, I know they're stepping in and they're playing more than me, but I'm going to be there. I'm going to be a leader and support them and answer all their questions. He's doing it the right way. It sounds like behind the scenes with him, but I don't know.
Ty?
Yeah.
AJ's saying he's doing it the right way. Who's it sound like over there in Cincinnati?
It sounds an awful lot like Trey Hendrickson, and it sounds like we have a new budding Squeak Scolari situation in Cincinnati. I don't love it, but hey, listen, the proof's in the pudding.
If you disrespect me or offend me 15 to 16 more times, I'm done with it. This is I understand where Logan's coming from, and I appreciate you saying doing it the right way. And I guess I used to view it the same way.
I say, being a good teammate to the guys who are the young rookies who are stepping in. He's not a dick to them, which is very natural if that did happen.
Yeah, and that's like him as a human, which I think we try to say the right way because we've been in there, and it's like, hey, you don't need to be a distraction. But the right way, seemingly in these situations, is never the right answer to get something done.
Never works out.
Like you seemingly have to be just a terrible prick.
Unfortunately, that is the case, isn't it? It does feel that way.
And I hate that. I hate that that's the case because you and me both say, like, hey, Trey Hendrickson's doing it the right way here. Okay, he's trying to be above board here. He's trying to be good to the rookies. He understands his value. He's going in there talking to the media. He's not really burying anybody. Owner comes out to Trey Hendrickson and says, at some point, these guys just got to be thankful they're getting offered any money.
Yeah.
Okay, and then Trey goes, they say there, we say ours. I still think there's he's doing it the right way. He's doing it the right way. He's doing it the right way. They give him $13 million more. I assume at this point, Logan Wilson requests a trade, and Trey Hendrickson looks at him and goes, join the club, bud. Yeah. You think we want to play here? Yeah, right. And then publicly, unless you're like the loudest and the worst of all time, I don't think it's going to sway anybody, including the Cincinnati Bengals. And the Bengals have just been kind of steadfast on all this, how this all goes, AJ. More news coming out of the NFL. Sean Payton says, whoa. What's that tweet? That tweet's about me. I was. Is that what happened? I don't think I know the full context of this one, Tone Diggs. What did Sean Payton come out and say about the Russell Wilson presser that Russell Wilson certainly responded to for the first time in the history of Russell Wilson being Russell Wilson?
Yeah, he basically said that this was all about Jackson Dart and complimenting Jackson Dart. It had nothing to do with Russell Wilson. That's obviously not how Russell Wilson took it. I don't know if I believe Sean or not based on their past, but I bet some people do think he was just talking positive about Jackson Dart. I am not one of those people that does.
Nope.
Here's him talking about the situation.
I did. Look, in the euphoria, the way that game unfolded, that was strictly about Dart. I mean, and That was in no way, shape, or form anything that was directed at Russ. So, and I might be able to see how he might perceive that. But coming off that win and watching how he played, that wasn't any intention at all.
Yeah. Yeah, so listen, I'm putting somebody up. It doesn't mean I'm burying somebody. I mean, it certainly, I guess I re-listened to it. Yeah, I could see how he...
Rising tides.
The euphoria, it was, this is, all right, enough.
I was talking about him. That's what he said. You know what I want?
Yeah. Hey, that's next week. That's next week coming out after something where he goes, I know how you all thought I said something last week. I like to let you know, I'm doing that right now. This guy, so much better than that guy. I can't take it. Sean Payton has a little pizzazz, been in the media. Obviously, he understands how this all works. But I think the reason why it's such a big story is because Russell Wilson did something that is very abnormal for Mr. He did a little burial as opposed to something that kind of feeds the internet to bury him. So a little bit out of character from the Russell Wilson. And, he's always let's ride the high road. And we've told him, I think, over the past, he needs to stop doing that. He needs to start, letting people know that this is not okay, the way they talk about him. Bruce. I like him talking his shit a lot, AJ.
I do too. I like what these three emojis. How would you describe those right there at the end?
How about Bruce retweeting and favoriting this thing as quickly as possible when it first comes?
Yeah, the favorites, the likes is an interesting. Now's not time for this conversation.
No.
But
the views as well. But
the likes going private. The views obviously indicate that it's been seen by a lot of people. How long has it been seen by somebody to just pop on a feed? Who knows? 5.3 thousand people say, I want to revisit this. I'd like to revisit this. And we'd like to let Russell Wilson know that anytime you want to let these off, brother, we are here for it. And I still believe in my heart of hearts that Scatterboo, Jackson Dart, and Dayball were sitting around, saw the video, go like this to Russell Wilson, play. You hear what he's talking shit about you, buddy. And then Scatterboo goes, and Jackson Dart says, this ain't how we roll. And then Dayball goes, no quarterback on my team is just going to be taking shots from a coach on another team. And I think there was a potential motivation around Russell Wilson to be like, hey, just one time, dude. Yeah. Just one time. Will you fight for yourself and stand up for yourself? So I'd like to tell Russell Wilson, we hope this is a new era. We hope this is a new era.
Russ.
Baby Russ.
Let's talk about football a little bit, getting better. The dynamic kickoff last year was supposed to be the big savior of special teams, but they adjusted the 35-yard line touchback drive start vert to the 30-yard drive start after a touchback. And we thought the 35-yard line rule was a good one. When they moved it to 30, I think everybody that knows special teams was like, this ain't going to change the kickoff much. This year, offseason, they moved to 35. Thank God they did that. These numbers are crazy. 79.3% of kickoffs have been returned. That's 877 of 1,100, up from 31.7% last year whenever they made a little bit of adjustment, which was obviously immensely from the year prior to that. Highest return rate in 19 years. There have been 32. That's back whenever the kickoff was at the 30 and they were kicking brand new balls, I believe. So balls weren't easily as pumped through the end zone, so people were forced to return them. There have been 32 returns of at least 40 yards, which is the most through week 7 since 2012. And there have been the most kickoff returns and kick return yards and second highest kick return average through week 7 in NFL history. I don't want to do McCarthy's job. That one in the bottom leads the way, most in NFL history. All the ones that are kind of most since, you kind of put those towards the bottom, McCarthy. Let's lead the storyline at the top for most in NFL history whenever we're putting out these bullet points. On that note, they were talking about how many games, how many thousands of plays did they say were going to be added when they were dreaming this up a year ago whenever we were talking to Riz in the special teams? It was like thousands?
Yeah, 1,500, 2,000, I thought is what the number was, like somewhere in there.
That was the selling point, AJ, and now it's kind of coming to fruition here. Good thing or bad thing for the NFL, especially because we've seen the end of some of these games with kickers hitting the ball fat and it hitting the ground before the landing zone, then a 40-yard line drive start whenever it really matters. So some people are saying, wait, there's more pressure and more influence on kickers in the game. What are your thoughts on it, AJ, now that we've kind of gone through it a little bit?
Yeah, I think it's good. It took something. I mean, The old style kickoff looked better when you're running. You have, they're gaining ground 40, 50 yards and they're hitting each other. But there was the fact that there's way more returns, that it's better. It's good for the league. I understand the aspect of the player safety, and they claim there's less concussions. I'm not sure how all that works, but I think it's great. It makes it a play. And now, even if you're up, it's still a thing. How is it going to? Dicker last night picked one, donged off the calf of one of his guys in the front line. The guy didn't even know it. So that it's always a thing. It can always happen. It's wild.
And that's what's cool. It puts more emphasis on kickers now. Now the kicking itself is more difficult. We've seen games end because, kickers haven't been able to get it all the way through, and guys have returned it during a vital time when, a 2-minute warning or anything. But, Pat, do you think kickers are going to be practicing now more than the kids practicing for the Vanderbilt kick tomorrow? Or do you think that is more so one of those things the punters will just have to do?
A massive respect to the Vandy kids practicing their kick for the kicking contest this weekend. That's an interesting little wrinkle being added. Is they got a kicker out there training these kids on how to kick. Now, granted, I will say this: even if the guys or girls that kick are actual ball kickers, making that kick with that amount of money, with the amount of people around them, is kind of the part of it all. But I appreciated them doing that. Now, back to the kickers hitting the punters need to start working on the squibs to be hitting the kickoffs into the landing zone. I think that's going to be the next development we're about to see with this entire kickoff. But Ty, you tell me, it's very similar to having to throw a strike in baseball. Kickers at the end of a game, you have to basically put the ball in play and you have to go cover a kick. This guy might have been signed to your team literally on Thursday or Friday. He's going to be running down there to try to win you a divisional game on a kickoff, and he has to make a play. And if he peeks one way or another, it's a touchdown going back. That's basically what they wanted out of this kickoff, though. They wanted more electricity. They wanted more excitement. But at the end of games, Ty, it's very similar to baseball, right? Doesn't it feel like that?
Yeah, for sure. It's the same thing as if the bases are loaded, you have no choice but to throw to the guy, because if you do anything, they're going to score a run, or it's a situation where if it's the bottom half of the last inning, the most important time of the game, you don't have a choice. You don't have a free base. And that's also what I feel like I've kind of noticed with some of these kicks at the end of the game. If a team scores a touchdown to maybe take a 3 or a 7-point lead, a lot of times they won't even try to do the squib anymore. They will just boot it deep because either they don't have a guy who's capable of landing it in the landing zone, or they're just worried that something is going to go catastrophic, and you still end up I feel like it's happened so many times. You take that lead, they get the ball in the 35, and then you're kind of playing prevent a little bit, and then before you know it, the other team is either in the red zone with an opportunity to score with a little bit of time left. It's really changing how teams approach the end of the game.
Yeah, and they're already talking about just kicking the ball out of bounds.
Yeah.
Never has there ever been hey, just turn left and do the worst possible thing on a kickoff, kick it out of bounds, and now that's become damn near a strategy if there's 2:05 left or something.
Yeah, college still does the old school kickoff, so it's fun to turn on Saturdays and see him running and covering. And I believe the greatest college football coach of all time has just sat down with Pat. Yeah, there you are.
Ladies and gentlemen, the GOAT in the toughest environment in the SEC. His words, not mine. Ladies and gentlemen, Coach Nick Saban.
Yeah, Coach.
Coach, obviously the story of you talking about Vandy a couple years back on this particular program took on a life of its own because what Vandy would go on to become and what they are now. $130 million renovation of this brand new stadium they opened up in August. How does it feel to be here and understanding that this Vandy football team is for real and also feels like they're invested for the future down here, which is abnormal for the SEC, obviously?
Yeah, well, there's no question about it. I mean, that wasn't there when the last time I was here. This wasn't here. The basketball arena wasn't there. So they have made a commitment. And it's working, and I think it's good for the league. And I have picked against them time and time again, and I want everybody out there to know that I am a J.O. You know what that means? I'm jumping on the bandwagon.
Oh, okay.
I didn't think that's what was coming.
You're gonna
something else.
Yeah, Coach Saban. Yeah, J.O. could be jack off.
Or Jag.
Or Jag.
There's a lot of J and O. There's jerk as well. I mean, there's a lot that could kind of.
I defined my J.O.
Yes, you did. That was smart. That was good play. That was good EQ, sense of awareness. A lot of people jumping on their bandwagon here. Mizzou, also very good football team. Game day here for Vandy Mizzou, seemingly very improbable. But with the NIL and transfer portal, all these teams have a chance to make big-time leaps in their a talent level, especially if they have supportive, like, kind of boosters. What have you seen from Vandy? What have you seen from Mizzou? And what are your thoughts on that as a whole?
Yeah, well, I think that the culture of college football now relative to no guardrails gives places like this the opportunity, if they want to make a commitment, which they did here, not only in the facilities, but they have a competitive, collective where they have a chance to get some of these players in. They made some academic adjustments where they can get some transfers in that are freshmen, sophomores, or graduates. So they've done the things that they needed to do to have a competitive program, and it's paid off for them. And, I still say this all the time. This is a great academic institution, but the window that people look at this institution is really going to be a lot through the athletic program, and there's no way that they can get more exposure than having game day here and playing in a big game like they did last week against LSU, and they're going to do this week against Missouri.
Yeah, Diego Pavia feels like a guy who's ready for the moment. Same with Coach Lee. Good for them. Happy for them. You talked about how, you got to be able to live up to the hype. Can't be a flash in the pan. They're the faces of, like, kind of creating a whole new culture overnight alongside Indiana as well. What is different, you think, between those two particular programs as opposed to people that have used NIL and been good and then got bad? Why do you think these two have been kind of sustainable here for the first couple of years?
Well, I think that, first of all, Kirk Cignetti's done a really good job of, everybody uses the term rat poison, but he's done a good job of controlling the spotlight on his team and keeping his guys focused. The more distractions you have, the more fragile psychologically your people become in terms of their ability to sustain success. Consistency in performance defines success to me, not just having one successful game or season or whatever. And he's done a really good job of that. I think this is still the question mark for Vanderbilt. Can they deal with the flash? Can they deal with the success? I saw signs at Alabama when they played a couple weeks ago down there, you were there, where that wasn't the case. So can they do that? Did they learn their lesson there? And can they finish this season strong? Which, if they do, they're going to have a chance possibly to get in a playoff.
Boys, Coach was so pissed that Diego was practicing victory formation at warm-up. So pissed. It was.
It is a weird thing to practice in warm-ups, isn't it?
I understand that.
Look at it right now. He's shaking his head. He's about to puke.
Yeah, what's that about, Coach?
I love Diego, but that would have been a catastrophic player-coach relationship moment before the game. I mean, I never wanted our players to ever do anything. I didn't even let them talk to the other team. I never wanted them to do anything that was going to affect the other team's motivation to beat us. So don't ever say anything. Don't ever give anybody a reason. They got enough reason to want to beat us. Don't give them any more.
Yeah, everybody wants Bama, brother. And the reason is because the way you were able to kind of psychologically put your boys into positions to success for so damn long. And everybody does it differently. Diego has certainly captured the entire world by storm. And us talking to him last week, he seems like he is just continuing to mature every single week and get used to it. Absolute dog, though.
He is that, man.
He is an absolute dog. I'm very appreciative of him in college football. Tone has a question for you back in the Thunderdome.
Yeah, Coach, there are a lot of job openings already this year, and there's a lot of pros and cons to every single job opening. If you are a coach that is, being lured in by these schools, what do you look for? What is most important to coaches when they go to these schools? Is it NIL? Is it recruiting base? Is it the AD and president and support of the school? Is it, facilities? There's so much that goes into these coaching. Or is it where you're from? Is it your alma mater? Stuff like that. What do these coaches look and what do they value most when they're looking at potentially going to a new school that's offering them?
Well, where you're from has nothing to do with it, but all of the other things that you mentioned absolutely do. And I think that the most important thing when you take a job is, how do you establish the ground rules going in? All right, you got all these people giving money so that you can pay players, but does that come with them having some influence on what happens in the program and how you coach your team and how you coach the players and all that? So, to me, when I took a job, I said, okay, this is how it's going to be. I'm not listening to the board of trustees. They're not telling me who to recruit. They're not telling me who to play. I mean, I'm not. So understand that going in, and go tell them before I take the job, because I'm not listening to that bullshit. All right. So that was that, because I didn't want to have to deal with that. Yeah. So you need to set the ground rules for all those things. What is name, image, and likeness going to be like here? How is our administration going to be involved? What's the academic circumstance that you're going to support so that we don't have issues when it comes to academics? Facilities are important. They're not as important as they used to be, because you could have the nicest facilities in the world, but if you don't have any money to pay the players, they're not coming. All right? So all those things are factors, but I think establishing the ground rules before you get there is the most important thing.
Can't be house poor, huh? You're saying the facilities used to matter, but now if we're going to do $45 million in the facilities or $35 million in the players, let's go ahead and feed these players.
Feed the players.
If we can do both.
Feed the beast.
Yeah, let's certainly do that. Feed the stud, brother. Yeah. That isn't a bad strategy, actually, across any of the parties. You said being from somewhere maybe shouldn't factor in as much as it has. Clark, here he is Vandy guy, and there's a lot of quotes of him talking about becoming the #1 program in the country. I think Kenny Dillingham also, he's very proud to be from the Valley over there at Arizona State. Some of these jobs, though, are about to make some pretty crazy offers, right? Wouldn't you think? Florida, Penn State, there's obviously huge jobs on the horizon that are going to be available. Virginia Tech just said they're putting in $229 million into it. Feels like there's going to be a lot of big-time numbers for some of these coaches. Do you agree with that as well?
I absolutely agree with that. I think there'll be some huge numbers, but I also think that some of the guys that you mentioned, Clark being here, Kenny being at Arizona State, they probably understood how to set the ground rules and what the place needed to do, because they had previous experience here, which probably helped them set the table for what they needed to do in the future.
Got it.
My point was, just because you're from someplace doesn't mean it's going to help you win. But I think if you have knowledge and they're willing to make a commitment to doing those things, then you got a chance.
Yeah, there's a man standing right over there. We're talking about how much money these coaches are going to get. Somebody else is going to be getting a little bit of cash off all these deals, too. Big Deluxe is over there wearing his white khakis. We're in his town right now. He lives in one of these penthouses. I don't know which one it is, but there's going to be a new one on the way with this new job opening. Penn State and Florida. Jeez Louise. There's going to be a lot of money in Jimmy Sexton's pockets in about a week.
I want to stay retired. And I do not want him anywhere near Miss Terry. Because when she hears some of these numbers, she gets interested. And I am interested.
That was last week. I believe that was last week whenever the question in the grab bag was, who's going to be the next coach of Penn State? And it was just so easy because everybody on the internet had put you there. Penn Staters are like, Penn State needs to go to Nick Saban and say any number that he wants. So then we bring in, obviously, Miss Terry, the boss, and she goes, I haven't heard a number yet. And I was like, oh, wait a minute. That just made athletic directors out there go, okay, ho. That wasn't a complete no there. That was we could kind of work with this at this stage. Okay?
No way.
All right.
I have so much fun working with you. Why would I go do that?
Okay. You would potentially do that because maybe one of these places has a never-ending supply of money, and boy, they would like to fucking win. So I think I think there's a chance that that's on the horizon. Let's continue to talk a little bit more about ball. AJ has a question for you, Coach.
Yeah, Coach, there's a lot of good games this weekend. One, I think, maybe flying under the radar. Michigan traveling to Michigan State. I know you coached at Michigan State for a while. What is that rivalry like? I know I've seen the clips of guys coming out pregame and turfing up the logo, all that kind of stuff. How do you think that goes, and what was it like being in the middle of that?
Well, I think these rivalry games sometimes have a little imbalance in terms of what it means to one school versus another. And let me explain. The Michigan-Ohio State game probably for the Michigan players is huge. The Michigan State-Michigan game for the Michigan State players is the huge game. Because they're sort of the not the most talked about school in the state, so they got a lot to prove. Some of them probably would have liked to have gone to school at Michigan. They ended up at Michigan State, so there's a lot for them to try to prove in a game like this. But I do think, and I was very impressed with the way Michigan played last week against Washington on both sides of the ball. So, and Michigan State struggled of late, but I tell you, there's been some huge upsets in this series in the past, and it's always an interesting game.
Talk about that. One side views the rivalry a little bit bigger than the other side. It's natural, especially with how many rivalries there are in college ball. But I think you've talked about your Alabama team. There being a couple of games that maybe it's harder to get your boys to believe that this is a rivalry than maybe some other games. And the other team is the biggest game of their season. How do you kind of adjust that with your squad?
Yeah, well, that was always a little bit of an issue as time went on, at Alabama, because it's generational with the Alabama folks, but a lot of people see Tennessee as the big rivalry at Alabama. This generation sees Auburn that way. And then LSU became such a big rivalry game because they were always so good and we were always pretty good. And that game had such significance in terms of we played late in the season and whoever won was going to win the SEC or whatever. So it became harder and harder and harder when you have multiple, rivalry games to get the players to focus on all of them the way you'd like for them to, knowing that the other team, like Auburn, was always going to be ready to play us.
Yeah.
So, especially when we played there. So,
everybody wanted Bama, brother.
Everybody.
Still do.
Yeah, still. They're still chanting, we want Bama because of what you were running there. At what point did you realize, we are the mountain, basically? Is that after your fifth national? When?
No.
What year? Is it the fourth? The third? When do you realize, we are the mountain that literally everybody is trying
I think when we won in 9, 11, and 12. When we won 3 out of 4 years. And the 10 team might have been better than the other teams, and they didn't get in the playoffs because we lost 3 games. We had such complacency. But I think from that time on, it was like...
You were just disgusted with that.
We were going to get everybody's best game.
Yeah, you certainly were.
But if you could get the other team to run their mouth, that was helpful in motivating your team.
Yeah, we talked about the Vandy situation here.
No doubt.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you certainly need that. I couldn't even imagine just trying to figure out how do I keep the boys motivated when we are supposed to steamroll everybody, and everybody is looking up at us. Because any given Saturday, college football much more than the NFL, any team can get any team, especially now with kind of the parity with NIL. Couple good players and a couple good positions. Wrong Saturday, which tomorrow could be, actually. Let's pivot away from that, and let's talk a little bit about the story that's kind of captivating all of sports right now.
Yeah.
You as a coach, obviously, with college, this is a big part of it. Go ahead, Ty.
Yeah, Coach, the NCAA recently okayed all 3 divisions to have their athletes and coaches be able to bet on professional games. And I think, immediately people kind of think, well, it's a slippery slope. These kids know a lot of kids at other schools, and not saying that the integrity of the game will be compromised, but you could see how it starts as, hey, you're only supposed to bet on professional sports, and then eventually that kind of seeps into college. As a coach, how would you address this whole situation with not only your players, your staff, and ultimately, do you see this being like a very, very slippery slope for college athletics as a whole and kind of ripe for a scandal?
Yeah, I think there's no question about it. And, Pat and I were talking about this before, but anytime that you have something that is legal, that is against the rules in your sport. So gambling is legalized, but yet from an NCAA standpoint, players can't gamble. I'm on college games now. But that becomes the most difficult circumstance to try to control as a coach. And we went to great lengths. I talked about it, but I had the FBI guy come in and tell them how they could get caught and how they would get technically how they could, follow the gambling line and all that, especially if they did it on their phone. And then I had Michael Franchise is the only mafia boss that they didn't kill when he was in jail, and then he got hired to go speak everywhere.
Oh, yeah, we know Franchise.
Yeah, I would bring him in, and he would scare the players to death. You might get shot someday if you do the wrong thing. So he would just scare them about how bad it was to get involved with people in gambling and how they could force you to do things you really didn't want to do. So we did a lot of things to try to make the players aware that this could be a huge problem for them and how it could affect them and their career, which, to what we were talking about before, and this is no different, I became very much a guy that talked less about team and more about individuals thinking that, players are selfish, they're self-absorbed, and they're ambitious. So how do I take advantage of that? And I would talk to them about all this behavioral stuff that could help them and enhance their value, and all the behavioral stuff that actually could kill them. And this was one of those things. But they took that part of it better when you made it about them and how it would affect them rather than just talking about the team.
Yeah, personal stuff. Scared Straight seemingly has worked for a long time. I wish they would do another kind of round of that with actual prisoners and bad kids. That always created good content. Francis came and talked to us as well. Did you know about his gasoline scheme?
Oh, yeah. That was brilliant.
Unbelievable.
Brilliant. Man.
Unbelievable.
Brilliant. And for somebody that used to pump gas, I was trying to figure, how could I figure this out?
He was scraping just pennies off of every single gallon.
yeah.
And by the time they were about to catch him, he was at another place. They were already gone. He was like, it was a great loophole. We're talking helicopters into the city. This guy's got Ferraris, Lambos. Probably would have bought him from you if this time was happening. Yeah, we know Francis pretty good. Francis been in a little bit of internet beef, with other mob bosses in the past. But anytime you can kind of hear from the source about what the possible outcomes are, that's obviously a little something that can maybe make you act a little certain way. That's why I think the FBI and I think even the NBA and all the leagues are probably going to want really heavy punishments for this. We got to set a precedent like, hey, this ain't good. Not just for the NBA. This is for all sports right now in the world that we're in right now. Like, this is a huge deal. We can't give up the integrity of the sports because then everything's gone. Sports are gone. Leagues are gone. Sports gambling. Everything is gone if the integrity of the game starts getting questioned.
That's
Can't
right.
have it.
I agree 100%. You are so right.
I want to let you know, I played a lot of those poker games. We need cash. We need cash not to be snooping around. Okay, I don't know if he's in Pittsburgh in the early 2000s, but cash, I hope you just kind of missed that. The poker game one was crazy.
I can't even figure that out. How could you cheat in a poker game? I know how you can deal the cards off the bottom and all that. But using AI, is that how they did it?
So we had Matt Berkey on, who's a professional poker player in the first hour, because the internet was starting to run with a lot of different. They were saying like there was an X-ray machine in the table underneath the felt and everything. It wasn't that. I think there was a potential camera that was maybe on the table that was maybe showcasing what a card was coming, which is obviously big for Hold'em because there's a turn in a river coming. So if that was happening, then that would mean the dealer was on the take as well, because then the dealer would be showing the cards. Then there's also potential paint that they put on the outside of the decks if they were able to get the decks in there, and if you have contact lenses, you can see the top of the deck. So I don't think they had X-rays, but I think they were using other things to certainly cheat. But yeah, that is like going to that extent to screw people over is obviously disgusting.
No, it is.
When it comes to cards.
We have games so people can enjoy games, and it's not worth it to not play by the rules, because that's what makes the competition fair, and the honesty that goes into it not only builds character, but it makes you feel good about earning the success that you had doing it the right way.
Agreed. AJ, did you hear that? Maybe you should think about that when you play euchre. You cheating piece of trash.
I've never used any technology, Coach. Never used any technology. I'm a great teammate. I can communicate with my teammate when I'm playing euchre. You guys, just because you're mute.
Okay, not supposed to do that.
You almost got to be from Ohio to play euchre. We played euchre when I was at Kent State. I never heard of it in West Virginia.
Yeah, hey, hold on. In Pittsburgh, I never heard of it either. And then I get out to Indiana, I play. Great game. Do you still play or no?
No, not lately.
Okay, well, if you play and you and Miss Terry play, do not play AJ. He cheats. This guy's a cheater.
Not even close.
Like a son of a bitch.
Not even close, Coach.
Yeah, he does. He cheats like
Evan
he
Foxy knows
like
my partner.
AJ's a great partner. That's all I'll say.
Thank you, Foxy.
Yeah, you guys are dealing weird and talking loud.
Look at my hands. You think I could deal weird with my fingers and my hands? But I cannot deal weird. I wish I could cheat on deal. I would. I would deal from the bottom if someone would teach me.
Now, on that note, my wife also is a bender of the rules when it comes to cards. I play by the rules, okay? Now, do I know the game better than you? Potentially. Do I know a rule that you don't know that exists? Potentially. We can Google it if you'd like to. But, boy, it is great whenever you win and beat the cheaters like A.J. Hawk, Coach, to everything you're saying. A little fulfillment, a little gratification, a little, hey, this is how the game's supposed to be played. The card gods have blessed me. Right. And now, Chauncey's going to find out the card gods will certainly affect you. We're waiting on it to happen to A.J. Hawk and euchre. Yeah. That is what we are waiting for that to happen.
That surprises me. I always held AJ in high esteem.
Me too.
Really. You see how a little bit of misinformation can really skew your
Gumpy,
your
when you put this Gumpy, when you put this clip out, make sure you tag the FBI.
Yes.
Okay?
Cash.
Yes, Cash Patel.
Cash Patel on it.
AJ Hawk is cheating in euchre.
Arrest this piece of shit.
Get him out of here. Get him out of here. Now, there's some stories coming out about the old teams that you have. I assume it's nice to go take a trip down memory lane. Connor has a question for you, Coach.
Yeah, Coach, one of your Heisman winners, Devonta Smith, was on the Closed on Sundays show with Pat Surtain and Terrion Arnold. And he basically told a story about how when it was Jerry Jeudy, one of our favorite players across the board, Devonta Smith, Jalen Waddle, and Henry Ruggs, he actually told a story about how you basically went up to either the players or the OC at the time, and he talked about how, hey, you would tell them, hey, you guys got to stop scoring so quick because you're catching one ball, you're running 80 yards, scoring a touchdown, and then basically our defense is dying because they just played their asses off, and now they got to go back out on the field. How many times did that happen to you where your team was that good, where you had to basically tell the players, hey, I preach, stay locked in and play as hard as you can, but right now I can't have you play as hard as you can because if you do, the other side of the ball is screwed. Did that happen often? And when the OCs did get the word from you, not the negotiation, the ass chewing, I'm assuming just basically, hey, you better run the ball or your ass is out of here, Lane Kiffin. What was that kind of like when your teams were that dominant?
No, I loved it when we had those kind of skill guys that could score fast and make big plays. But there is a strategic side to all that because, understand we came from run the ball, play good defense. Our defense is probably in the top 5 for the first 5 or 6 years. We ran the ball. Derrick Henry had some great backs and all that. We shrunk the game, played good defense. Well, when we changed over to take advantage of the rules, RPOs, throwing the ball behind the line of scrimmage, blocking downfield, all those things, when Lane came and hired Lane with the idea that we were going to change because we needed to score more points. Well, when you go no huddle and you score more points, you play more plays on defense. So that was a psychological change for our whole team, all right, that we were going to win the game 44-40 sometimes, not 19-6. All right, so and it was also a little bit of a change for even me that sometimes when the defense got tired and we scored fast on offense, that they had to go right back out there. There were times strategically we needed to just keep the ball a little bit on offense. But I'll take the great players and the speed, and those 4 guys were great players, and they had great speed, and we could score fast. And I might have tried to get them to score a little slower, but I'd rather have that issue than have the other issue and not have any speed and not be able to score.
Yeah, I would assume it'd be nice to have to put a governor on your offense. Hey, we got to slow this down a little bit. We got to at least have 4 plays before we score a touchdown, as opposed to having a team that can't score.
Well, the 2019 team had all those guys on it when Tua got hurt. That may have been one of the best teams that we ever had, and when Tua got hurt, we lost to Auburn with Mac playing when he probably wasn't quite ready, to play. But that was one of the best teams we ever had, and they never even got in the playoffs.
Yeah, that's the thing about college ball. You got to get lucky in a lot of different ways. I'm lucky that I get a chance to sit next to you. The boys and I are lucky that we get a chance to chat with you. And how do you feel about I'll tell you what. I'm not going to say it.
Say it.
Tell them. Might as well.
Hasn't been a lot of buzz around campus.
Whoa! Whoa! What? I thought it was going the other way.
No, I saw the kickers kicking, and I thought it was what it was going to be. And maybe I'm just on a part of the I was on a part of the campus that doesn't have humans. Okay, I'm going through. There was nothing. I didn't. Gumpy, please, you're with me.
Yeah, there's nothing.
Yeah, there was nothing. We might have been in the wrong parts. I'm gonna search for it. I'm gonna look for it. I'm gonna certainly look for it. Yeah, I think so. Vandy's
down on Broadway. Right?
Yeah, it is. I was going to ask the question: is it possible that they were in class?
Listen,
which you may have not have done at West Virginia.
Yeah, don't ask dumb questions, Coach. Jeez, there is a chance they were in class. You're right. I didn't even think about that. Yeah. That's part of the problem. I apologize, Vandy. I can't wait to experience tomorrow. I've heard it's going to be electrifying. Coach, you're the best, ladies and gentlemen. The GOAT, Coach Saban.
Yeah. Thank you, Coach. I know there's a bunch of good games. I know we have a college football slate. Here we go. Look at you guys already potting up before I even think about it. Look, out of these games, Ty Schmidt, look at this. Which one's your favorite? Which one would you pinpoint that you're going to watch the most?
The one I'm going to watch the most, I mean, outside of the,
Which one are you so excited to see?
Outside of, obviously, Texas LSU, I am actually pretty excited to watch BYU Iowa State.
Really?
Yeah. Oh, I thought you were going to say, hey, why the fuck is Iowa and the Golden Gophers not on his.
No, I would say that, but it's actually funny because that game applies to what Coach Saban was talking about, where the rivalry game is much more important to one school than it is the other. So
is this the Floyd Rosedale?
This is the Floyd Rosedale game, yes. So, it's a big deal. But
Can you
obviously,
explain that to the people that might not know?
It's a pig.
Yeah, it's a big pig. The first year Iowa and Minnesota
played,
the Governors put up a pig, an actual live pig they played for.
I've never heard of this.
Oh, yeah.
What?
It's an awesome trophy,
For
Bruce,
real?
if you can pull up the Floyd Rosedale. And then after that, they basically realized, hey, pretty hard to get this massive pig from Iowa to Minnesota every single year. Let's just play for a trophy instead. So, yeah, boom, Floyd Rosedale.
Oh, okay. Yes, I have. My bad. I was hoping they still had a live trophy, though.
Well, I mean, I'm sure they could, but that's
They
the thing.
slaughter a pig. After,
Nobody
right?
in
On
Iowa.
the 50?
Nobody in Iowa wants a hog from Minnesota.
Oh, really?
We got Iowa hogs. We don't need Minnesota hogs. Okay, they ain't winning no medals at the Iowa State Fair. I know that.
From the 4-H situation, Pat, I believe you got Saban and the crew. They already departed, I think. But yeah, here we go. I don't know about you guys, Pat. Pat, it looks like a green screen a lot. I know we have people moving on the field, but everything else looks almost fake. It looks so nice back there.
Yeah, the lighting department did a great job here, I believe, and obviously the entire production crew, Weeksy and his squad. I appreciate the hell out of you guys. It's been multiple weeks in a row, absolutely flawless from the group. So we're very, very thankful for them and how they pieced this thing together. But yes, brand new stadium, brand new everything. It is gorgeous here. I don't know who these jacked dudes are. They're jacked. I don't know if they're a part of the team or not. Very jacked fellas. They've been trying to kick field goals. Haven't made one yet. They've only pulled every single one of them.
What the hell?
I'm not 100% sure that guy could throw it pretty good too. It doesn't look like Diego. Appears to be 6 Caucasian males. But I am. I appreciate the hospitality. All right, let's make our picks here before we get off ESPN. AJ, last night obviously I had the Chargers. You had the Vikings. I'm undefeated, but you can ride alongside of me to maybe a perfect slate. Browns at New England Patriots. 7.5-point favorites at home are Mike Vrabel and the boys. Con man, quick thoughts on this game. Anything we need to know?
Yeah, they haven't played a home game in a long time. This will be the first home game in a month. I think they were 3 straight on the road there, so it's been quite a bit. I expect this to be an atmosphere, at least for New England, that possibly will kind of hopefully bring them back to when they were very good. They haven't had something to cheer for at home in a while. They lost to the Steelers, I believe, last time they played at home. Or they beat the Panthers, but they haven't been good at home recently. So I expect Gillette to show out for the new and improved New England Patriots.
Tone, 7.5. Is that the only line?
You can get the Patriots -7 if you please.
Okay, AJ, who do you like? How do you like it?
I'm going New England Patriots -7 at home. I mean, we think it's like a revenge game, too, for Vrabel. Vrabel is from kind of in that area. He was on the staff for the Cleveland Browns last year somewhat. Here we go.
All right, I ride with the Patriots as well. Giants, Eagles. Eagles favored by 7.5 at home. Bruce Brown, how do you feel about your team getting 7.5 points, especially with the news of them getting fined $200,000 as an organization, Bruce?
Yeah, I would say that Fofo and Six should be able to file a waiver where the UNC doesn't apply to those two moving forward. But this does kind of feel like that spot where perhaps the Giants get their asses kicked. Historically, we're banged up in our secondary. We do have the $6 million man Graham Gano back, so that's fucking nice. But Jackson Dart is essentially the second coming of Patrick Mahomes thus far, so maybe we got a shot.
Any different lines, Tone Diggs?
Same as last game. There is a 7 out there if you prefer the Eagles.
AJ, your thoughts and pick?
I do prefer the Eagles here at -7 at home.
Me as well. Let's go to the Niners and the Texans. Obviously, a lot of things said about the Texans. They're favored by 2.5 at home. Who's starting quarterback there, boys?
Ooh, I want to say Brock Purdy.
Yeah, I want to say that as well, but I don't know if it has been confirmed yet.
Not sure if he's practiced this week.
Brock Purdy or Mac Jones getting 2.5 down there in Houston. Houston, tough place to play. Any different lines, Tone?
There is a 1.5 if you prefer the favorite, all the way up to 2.5.
Okay, AJ, who do you like? How do you like it?
Brock Purdy coming back. We saw San Fran run the ball last week.
Maybe.
Maybe
not confirmed.
I just looked it up. He did. He was. David Lombardi, who we've had on the program, said another day of spry Brock Purdy at practice. That was yesterday. So if he's practicing and he's spry, you would assume. Oh, there it is, right there.
Yeah. As long as
okay. So we got We got some spryness out of Brock Purdy. Go ahead, AJ.
Yeah, he's spry, and as long as Juszczyk is in the lineup as well with CMC, give me the Niners.
I'll take the Niners as well. We're on the same page, AJ. Look at us. Bears, Ravens. Lamar Jackson has practiced multiple days in a row. They have not made an official designation. After the bye is when we all thought Lamar Jackson would be back, which is this particular game. Jamison Hensley on the reporting there. Bears obviously looking damn good at this stage of the season and of the Ben Johnson era alongside Caleb Williams. They're getting 6.5 in Baltimore. Tone, is that the only number?
It is 6.5 across the board.
Jeez.
That's insane.
Okay. Ty, is there a reason for this that I'm not seeing?
No, yeah.
They assume Lamar's playing, I'm guessing?
Yeah, exactly.
Yes,
Lamar has to be playing, but even so, just because Lamar's playing with how bad the Ravens have looked, and the Bears are quietly, they've been one of the best teams in the NFL over the last couple weeks. So, yeah, this is very, very interesting. This feels like a sucker line.
Tell the homie Zito, we're all riding with the Bears, it sounds like, AJ?
Yep, give me the Bears here. You're right.
Jeez, unbelievable. There's a man named Ari that's watching this show going, yes, yes, yes.
Yeah.
More Bears talk. I think all of Chicago feels that way. Bills at Panthers. Bills favored by 7.5 in Carolina. Any other lines on that one, Tone Diggs?
That one is 7 or 7.5.
Okay, down in Carolina, Carolina's got a good football team. Now, This is the one Connor was saying, hey, wait, Buffalo's coming out of a bye week. Maybe they'll be slow. Schefter reported the Panthers are listing quarterback Bryce Young is doubtful for Sunday's game versus Buffalo. So that's Andy Dalton, I believe, still the backup down there in Carolina. Josh Allen, Andy Dalton, maybe a revenge game, I believe Connor brought up earlier. AJ, who do you like? How do you like it?
If I can get the Buffalo Bills at -7, I will take the Bills. I think this is get back on track game for them.
Okay, give me the Carolina Panthers plus 7.5 down there. Not that the Bills don't win. I just think maybe the Panthers. Nope. Give me the Bills minus 7.5. Give me the Bills minus 7.5. Yeah, I think so. Just in my head, we just came out of the bye, and you said they might be slow out of there, but for some reason, I just thought Josh Allen coming out of the bye is going to be even better. I don't know. In my head, I just saw that. That just literally just went through my head right there.
Yeah, I don't know about the slowness. I know the offense will fly. Especially with Andy Dalton playing, the Bills' kind of weakness on defense is stopping the run, and they might give Rico Dowdell and Chuba Hubbard 20 carries a pop. Yeah. But seven's a good number.
You're right. Okay, give me the Panthers plus 7.5. I'm back on. My first instinct was that.
No. Don't do that. Don't do that. I'm like,
No, Panthers. I'm on the Panthers. That was my first pick. Yeah. Jets at Bengals. Bengals favored by 6.5 at home. Any other lines, Tone?
You can get 6 if you want the Bengals.
Okay, so you can get -6 Bengals at home against the Justin Fields possibly led New York Jets. Aaron Glenn, head coach of the Jets, has yet to commit to a starting quarterback. What does that mean? We do not know. Rappaport says Tyrod Taylor with his knees questionable, but trending in the right direction. We don't know who the quarterback is. If Tyrod can go, he's potentially out there because we can't complete a pass with Justin. I like the Joe Flacco-led Cincinnati Bengals -6 at home. AJ, you the same way?
Absolutely. Give me the Bengals.
Dolphins at Falcons. Any other lines there, Tone?
7.5 across the board.
Okay, Dolphins at Falcons. I'll take the Falcons -7.5. AJ, who do you like?
Man, yeah, I'll take the Falcons as well.
Gumpy, has he ever picked the Dolphins in this entire thing?
No, but Bijan and Algier might have 6 total tuds in this one. We can't stop the run.
Okay, it sounds like we're on the right side. Buccaneers, Saints, NFC South battle. Bucks favored by 4.5. Mike Evans was back. He's back gone. Emeka Buka was back. Baker Mayfield, fresh off a loss that didn't look like themselves. Any other lines for this, Tone?
There's actually, you can go anywhere from 3.5 if you want the Bucks to 4.5 if you want the Saints.
AJ, who do you like?
I want the Bucks at 3.5.
Me as well. Tennessee Titans, Indianapolis Colts. I'll take them at -14.5 for sure. Welcome back to the Indianapolis Colts being odds-on, awesome favorites in games. I love that it's 14.5. In the AFC South, we haven't won that thing in 13 years, and we're more than 2-score favorites in a game. Let's go with the Colts. Your pick, AJ?
Give me the Colts.
That was aggressive. I didn't know that was going to be the line. Can I get them at -14?
14.5.
If you wanted to buy half a point, yes. But if you just all the books,
what if we both want? Can we both get it at 14?
I'll allow it.
Okay.
Okay, we're both at 14. Good for us.
Okay.
Dallas Cowboys, Denver Broncos. Broncos favored by 3.5. Fresh off of a Sean Payton. I wasn't talking about him when he's talking about Russell Wilson. AJ, do you like the Cowboys or the Broncos?
I like the Cowboys here on the road.
Me as well. And then the Packers, Steelers, Sunday Night Football. Aaron Rodgers hosts the team he played for 20 years in the city of Pittsburgh. Can Money Time Micah end this thing for the Packers, or will the Pittsburgh Steelers continue to grind and pound and work towards a Super Bowl? AJ, who do you like? How do you like it as the Packers are on the road and favorites on Sunday night?
I will take the Green Bay Packers on the road as favorites, -2.5.
Oh, mama.
It's going to be a sweet atmosphere. We know that. Big Mike's doing the coin toss, I think.
I'll take the Pittsburgh Steelers getting 2.5 at home on a Sunday night. Sorry, getting 3 at some books at home on a Sunday night. I can't wait to watch this weekend of football tomorrow. Game days live from Vanderbilt here in beautiful Nashville. We can't thank you enough for allowing us to do this for a living. We'll see you on Overreaction Monday. That's AJ and the boys. You're the greatest. Be a friend, tell a friend something nice that might change their life. Goodbye.
On the screws.
Nailed it.
Yeah,
Nailed
you got it. Big time.
You walk over to that $20 million new baseball facility and just pound it out of the park.
Yeah, exactly.
43. Hold on. So here's all the numbers. 130. I wrote them down because I was in the elevator with a man named Austin who was clearly very proud of everything here. Was his name's Vandy Austin.
What?
And Vandy Austin knows everything about Vandy.
What?
He had a few stats.
What?
A few numbers.
What?
A few money lines.
What?
A few stories.
What?
130 million on the football stadium.
What?
90 on the basketball arena.
What?
42 on the baseball stadium.
What?
14 on the outdoor tennis stadium.
What?
7 million on the indoor tennis stadium.
What?
And Vandy Austin said that's the bottom line because Vandy's got fucking money. Basically, is what this guy said. I mean, they're all in on sports. And Chancellor Deermeyer and Candace Story Lee, I think these two are really driving it. And obviously, Coach Lee, Clark Lay is obviously a part of it. But yeah, Vandy's all in on the sports and obviously the history of this city. I mean, I can't wait for people to see what I did yesterday.
Yeah,
me too.
I can't.
Same.
When will they get to see?
I'm not. It's a. I don't even know what I can say without giving shit away here. We got some great footage. We got some incredible footage. Like some incredible footage. Like it's going to be a doc and then obviously a project. It is. Yesterday was fucking cool.
Yeah, fuck it. Play the footage. Play the footage. We want to see.
No, not doing it. But getting down to Nashville in the middle of football season is crazy. And then obviously, I believe as a whole have become friends with a lot of people in the music world. Like very, very lucky that we've become friends with a lot of people in the music world because a lot of country music, especially obviously this is Nashville, a lot of country music, all the guys and girls that are in country music come from towns that they love college football. So like, and all their friends love college football. So like College Game Day and being a part of college football world has like kind of introduced us to a lot of people that call this city home. And whenever they found out we were coming down here and that I was coming down here, it was like, I was part of history yesterday. I just got it like
all time.
Yeah.
It was the most absurd thing I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah, Gumpy's right in there.
Yeah,
as well.
it was
I mean,
absurd.
Gumpy's in the middle of it as well, just kind of looking around. It was fucking and we documented it all, so it'll be something that everybody will see, and I can't wait for people to see it. Just know that I think it's all incredibly stupid, and I'm wildly lucky to be doing it all. And also, shout out to everybody that was with us yesterday. Thank you so much for your effort and your time and your talent. Like, nice. I was watching
Masters at work.
Professionals, huh?
Yeah, you were watching a master at work.
Yeah.
We're talking everything. Like I was in some places I shouldn't have been, just watching these people create the magic. You know? And it's like, it was very cool. All right. On that note, AJ, thank you so much for traveling in.
Good work, Parker.
course.
Boys up there, great work this week. I appreciate the hell out of you guys. Great work yesterday.
You too, brother.
That's heavy stuff. Behind the glass, good work, boys. Way to go, boys.
Great work, gentlemen.
Very, very grateful. Great work, boys. All week, obviously. And then the graphic design boys and the entire squad back there. Good work, boys.
Good work, gentlemen.
Boys. I heard you guys talked about D-Bone's crash out a little bit.
Yep.
Little Red Bull at 6 p.m.
Yep.
After.
Yeah, shaky hands.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's kind of
Irrational.
this is kind of a part of it. Because remember, he had that good first day.
Yep.
Remember that?
Oh, yeah.
So, good first day, he was like, oh, this is my game. Yeah, this is how it's going to work. And, me and Foxy both told him, like, hey, enjoy this now, because it's going to happen.
Yeah, reality's coming.
It's going to happen. Very much interested. Congratulations. Enjoy this now. And I even gave him like a forewarning about how I was a little bit worried about how excited he was. Because that means is going to be even more. Yeah. And the other day it was that we saw it happen. We saw it happen the other day.
He was down the dumps?
When he was.
Oh, yeah.
He was chugging a Red Bull at 6 p.m., freaking out, blaming everybody. And that is just, 6 p.m. Red Bull, chugging it while sweating, yelling at everybody else. It was like, we knew it was coming. Literally, day one, knew this was coming. It happened yesterday. And I'd like to let D-Bone know, I appreciate your competitive fire, bro.
Yeah.
I appreciate
Hell yeah, Bone.
And Bone, it sucks, by the way. It sucks for you that this is kind of the world you're in. I know it's very new, but there are people around you that are professional athletes. And once they start to learn things, it's a little bit of a potential, there's a separator in there, And I don't think D-Bone has necessarily grasped all of that yet, but it is certainly a good time in the office. How was your U-Ball experience yesterday?
Speaking of, we got basically Shaq reincarnated on the court yesterday with AJ Hawk.
No, we didn't win. We won a couple games. We got beat many times. It's hard shooting is tough sometimes. You got to get in the rhythm shooting wise.
He's a power dunker.
But on that note, if you were to do it like 3-4 days straight, you're a professional athlete.
Oh, yeah.
I think you would start to kind of figure it out. That's kind of a separator, I think.
It's shooting that small ball. It's like shooting a golf ball almost, it feels like.
Yeah, you feel like Shaq as it's coming off your hand. Yeah. So then if you do it for 4 or 5 days straight, and you happen to be averagely athletic, you're probably going to – and D-Bone just has no respect that there's levels of athleticism, because he's D3 national champion. So, like –
Olympic gold medal.
Yeah, well, not Olympic gold medal. He was asked to be
Olympic
USA
finalist for the football team.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He got to the second try.
And shot put.
He thought this was it. Like this game, especially with how fun it was, he thought this was
I'm never going to lose. He thought he was never losing again? Is that what he thought, really?
Yeah, this happened in cornhole with him. Like he was beating a couple of people in cornhole, and then all of a sudden he lines up next to maybe a professional athlete, and it's a different game. D-Bone, like I'm so sorry that, I am so sorry that this is just how it goes. 33, I think he maybe had like a game or two where he thought he was figuring it out, had like the moment, and then all of a sudden just not. And then U-Ball day one, he's like, holy fuck, this is the one. This is it. This is what I'm gonna be great at. And there was just like a little bit of a warning, like, bro, it feels like this might be the same outcome as the other couple, but he just keeps getting in there. And that's why we love him. Now, on that note, speaking of loving people, ladies and gentlemen, we have a birthday today in the Thunderdome.
Oh, yes.
Gumpy Gumpy would actually like to make his way over here to celebrate this alongside all of us. A man who's been, I think, continuing to evolve his creativity and his artistry, and also started getting loose in U-Ball a little bit, started participating in the Thunderdome events, a little bit. Obviously a father, a husband. Ladies and gentlemen, it's Dirty's birthday. Happy birthday, Dirty. Happy birthday, Dirty. We appreciate you, man.
Happy Mitt.
Happy
birthday
to you. Happy birthday to you.
Take it, Gump.
Happy birthday, dear Gordo. Happy birthday to you.
Yeah.
Gordo.
Thanks, everybody. I appreciate you guys.
Blow the candles out.
Hey,
Oh, not trick.
and make a wish. Hey, Real talk, Dirty. Great year, I think, out of you. I think we would all say this. Don't you agree?
Yeah.
Great trip around the sun.
I appreciate it.
Hell yeah, we appreciate you too, man. Keep
guys
doing
are
your
awesome.
thing. Hey, you're awesome. Dirty will make an incredible graphic and then spell one fucking word wrong, and then we're all like, hey, but this is the only thing anybody's going to talk about. Dirty, you've been kicking ass, brother. You need to know that. Happy birthday, man. We appreciate you. And also, maybe you team up with D-Bone and U-Ball. Give him a little bit of help.
Graphic
Yeah.
boy.
Not bad.
I don't know. He might get mad at me one day. Sit on me.
Hey, call you guys Dirty Bone.
Yeah. Dirty bone.
You don't want that dirty bone?
AJ, you ready?
We're ready. I don't want to break up Team Bone and Butt,
What you gonna do?
Bone and Butt was a great team. I think that was actually part of D-Bone's crash out the other day. He had a professional athlete as a teammate.
Oh, he
And
forgot about
was-
that.
Yeah, he was saying a lot of things. I mean, he's D-Bone. Happy birthday to you, buddy.
Yeah.
Happy birthday.
Happy
D-Bone.
birthday, D-Bone.
Happy birthday, Bone.
It's not his birthday, AJ. I think you were looking around.
I'm trying to find the guy. I can't. He's gone like
This is usually
in
his
isolation.
This is usually his mid-afternoon shite time,
and
it's oh boy,
like an
we
hour and
won't
a half.
see him for a while.
Red Bull.
Yeah, my kids do that.
He's got a big window. On that note, you talk about sitting down maybe too long on the toilet or things that could potentially happen that I've been talking about earlier in the week with the boys, if you remember. Through the for me personally.
Yep.
You guys remember what I was?
Oh yeah, I remember.
Yeah.
Yeah, full explosion last night.
Hey, that's good though, right?
Need that.
Yeah, definitely good news. Looked like a murder scene on my bed.
I
Looked
don't
like
doubt
a murder
it.
scene on my bed. But life is a lot better now than it was.
There you
Lot
go.
of blood. I had a blister on the back of my leg for
I thought
something.
I thought you dumped blood all over your bed. You scared me. Like that's not like normal.
No, yeah,
you
it's
said
just a
you're-
little bit of a thing.
Okay.
There's a little thing that built up on my body, and then it just popped last night. It was certainly aggravating. And that was an eye-opener why I woke up to go to the bathroom middle of the night. Is somebody die here? What is that? And then it was from myself, you know. So it was a great morning. Just know there's a lot of relief this morning.
Hell yeah.
A lot
Great.
of relief
Great
whenever
news.
we woke up this morning. So we're heading into the greatest weekend of all time. AJ, safe travels back to Dublin. Gumpy, let's enjoy the hell out of Andy.
Hell yeah.
And boys, you're the best. Happy birthday, Dirty. Be a friend, tell a friend something nice that might change their life. We're in this thing together. Let's never forget it. AJ, anything to say to the team here?
Let's have a better one next week.
Nice.
I'll go.
I hate that.
Hogger.
Don't you hate that too? HU
Yeah.
does it.
Oh, BA.
Yeah.
BA's
Yeah.
BA's a good coach, though.
Yeah, he is.
He is a great
got,
coach.
Got deep on
Gimmick
hit that shot.
infringement.
Exactly.
It is a bit of
gimmick
infringement.
infringement.
Well
Good
said.
You're right. It is.
Gumpy, do you have anything to say to the team, Gumpy?
Since AJ won't do it, I will take the wheel here. It's been a great week, everybody. You know, football is at full swing. MLS Cup's kicking off. All the sports.
All right.
World Series
Yep,
starts
that's what
tonight.
you get.
Shohei
Okay,
Ohtani.
okay.
You know,
There
bring
you
it
go.
back. Bring it back.
Better like
Okay,
next
okay.
week.
But we're heading into the greatest weekend of all time with the Dodgers knocking off the Blue Jays to get it started tonight.
Okay, I love that,
Okay.
Gumpy. Appreciate you. Team on me. Team on three. Let's have the greatest sports weekend of all time. Oh, the boys over there in the corner, too. Hell yeah. Appreciate you guys. You guys did great work here. See you guys on Overreaction Monday. Hope you all have the time of your life. Team on three. 1, 2, 3. Team. Goodbye.